Class is in session once more. Welcome to Radiant Academy 104. It's finals week, if you can believe that, and I hope that you have studied because myself and I almost can't even say the word Professor Joby are very, very harsh graders. And yeah, it's time. It's time. Put your pencils down. It's time to grade.
Yep, and we are looking for our valedictorians among the masses as well, having our top 4 teams ready and rearing to go to fight through these semifinals and the grand finals. I feel like some teams here have some really good GPAs already, and I would hate to see these final exams, knock those down a few pegs. And there they are: Oomfies versus Tanax GC, our 1 versus 4 seed, and Day by Day versus Sad Frost, our 2 versus 3 seeds respectively. And CB, which match are we going to be covering here in our review for the grand finals?
Well, we are going to be covering up the top half of the bracket, Oomfies versus 10x GC. One thing, though, I do kind of want to, bring up here real quick, though, is like an impromptu kind of lesson in the animal kingdom. I think that is biology. All of these 4 teams, this is our 1 through 4 seed, making it this far in the tournament, and all of them have just been carving a bloody path. They've been hunters, predators out there, just taking all the meat they could possibly want, but one of them came back wounded, and that is Day by Day down in that lower half of the bracket going up against Sad Frost. So we'll have to see if they make it out alive, because a wounded animal coming back to the den full of wolves is definitely not a sight you want to see. But I mean, if they make it, which after yesterday's performance, which was absolutely crazy, by the way, I do kind of hope we get to see a little bit more out of the squad. We're going to find out who they would be going up against, be it Oomfies, our number 1 seed, or 10x GC.
Oh, for sure. And we have our own kind of predictions and opinions for this map. Oomphy is obviously a squad that's been around for a very long time. They kind of have this pug energy, but they, like I said, they play together a lot. And so they have that chemistry almost clicking. I will say the only difference here for this squad is that they don't have Panini playing, and it's Panday and Terror back in the mix on the same team. Well, usually when it's open qualifiers, Panday isn't playing, and usually when it's these kind of puggier events, it's not Terror playing. So I'm excited to see, Terror and Panday in the same lobby and how that synergy is going to form, because it is a little bit newer. Versus the side of Tanax GC, which is always Array, Unfeel, Arthur, and Hugga, or I'm gonna probably butcher their name. That's a squad that's also been practicing the Tanax series, but they have a new member. Kudesa retired, and now it is Hugga stepping in now as that newest member.
Yeah, and interesting about this squad as well is they have kind of improved over time. They came in much lower seeded and then came out of groups undefeated again. One of these squads that has yet to drop a single map against anybody, cutting a bloody swath, and have now gotten themselves all the way up to, the 4th seed, which not half bad. I mean, and we were watching just, yesterday what the number 2 seed looked like, and we've even seen, what some of these other higher seeded teams look like. Like, being 4th in this crop, not too shabby. It's looking pretty close as we go into the semifinal rounds, and it's only going to get closer as we move on. I mean, you and I are both kind of predicting Oomfies to take this one and show up in the grand finals, but even that isn't really a guarantee.
Hey, I'm a teacher. I have no student favoritism. I don't know what you are talking about, CV. But I'm glad you talked about the group stage between these 2 teams, because I found an interesting kind of point when looking at the match results for both of these teams. And it's that for Oomfies, once they got into playoffs, they faced a lot of the same teams that Tanax GC beat in their group stage, right? So I feel like Oomfies had a lot easier of a time in playoffs than Tanax GC did. Like we said, they kind of came in swinging and got that higher seeding out of the groups. And I think when I look at these scores, I'm like, wow, they are very similar amongst the same opponents, which makes me think that this matchup's going to be a lot closer than we anticipated. And, I always like to root for the underdogs. Maybe we could see a Tanax GC upset, but who knows?
I definitely like to see that, but I do also kind of want to bring up a little bit of a counterpoint. It's when you back to the animal kingdom metaphor, when you are the apex predator, when you are the number 1 seed, everyone else is below you in the food chain. So yeah, they're beating a lot of the same teams, but if you're Oomfies, that's kind of expected of you. You're a great white shark. I mean, what's gonna stop you? There's nothing else in the entirety of the ocean that can come and get you. You're just gonna feed on all of the other schools of fish. And maybe 10x GC are also great white sharks. Maybe they are just a big juicy tuna. We're gonna have to find out when we go to our map pick and bans to find out exactly which ocean this school is going to be swimming in. I tied it back to the school metaphor.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I was gonna stay on the evolution pun because, like, tonight GC, they might have made adaptations, right, while facing off against all of these teams. But speaking of the environment, the ecosystem, we get Sunset, Lotus, and Ascent as our battleground here for this semifinals between Oompies and Tanax GC. And you know, all of us in the green room were trying to predict this, and Sunset and Lotus were those like, oh yeah, these are probably maps we're gonna see, right? Sunset, kind of a map that we have seen in this event from the side of Tanax GC, and Lotus played by both of these teams. But when we got to that third map, no one really knew what it was. We had people guessing Haven, Icebox, Ascent, and then these bans come out. And when I look at the bans, I really think that in my mind, Oompies took it just ever so slightly. And that is just because of that overlap between Lotus being a map played and comfortable by Tanax GC and it being Oompies' best map. Versus Icebox, which was banned by the side of Oompies, is actually, or sorry, yeah, is Tanax GC's best map. 3-0 in this event so far.
I did predict that Ascent would be the third map, but I mean, to be fair, that was after I had already known the first four, and like, and Bind had also already been banned, so I had a 50-50 shot. All right, so
yeah.
I'm still gonna take credit and say that I did get that prediction right on the third map. I was the only one, but you know, I was the only one at that point still trying, because everyone else was already trying to make like educated guesses, and I'm just like,
Hey, I said
Heads
when
or
it was down
tails?
to, like, when it said it was down to Bind of Ascent, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be Ascent, as well. Just because I understand, like, I think Bind was played and won, pretty dominantly, yeah, 13-5 by the side of Oompies, and I know Oompies doesn't like Abyss as much as they like Ascent, which they have played this event. They've actually been, that's their second most successful, in Radiant Academy, their topic area. But either way, I'm really excited to get into the action, particularly because there is a decent chance that with this map pool, with Lotus and Ascent in the mix, that we may see our newest agent, Vice, actually from the side of Oompies. They have a player carry that's been pulling it out on Ascent and Lotus, but they also have different variations of Lotus. And you mentioned this Apex Predator, and kind of like, are they gonna take this seriously? Are they gonna, you know, I guess undervalue or underestimate their opponents or not? And I think that also will show in their composition and whether they're going on the goofier, the newer spectrum, or going back to their tried and true kind of a deadlock pick. But regardless, that means that Sunset is up first, though. The map that, you know, probably won't see Vice. It might be kind of more of a standard crop for both of these squads.
Yeah, I think if you're Oompies, you know, and you're this deep into a tournament, you do have to kind of give a lot of your opponents some respect, at least initially, you know, start to feel them out. So maybe on Sunset, you do just play it safe, play something bog standard, and then when you get to Lotus, then maybe that's where you bust out the Vice and start to get a little bit more silly and maybe pull out some more of your, like, you know, ace up your sleeve kind of strategies that you've been workshopping for the past couple of however long it's been since you decided to start bringing that into the fold.
Yep.
Unless you're confident that it's going to work, I don't think you come out the gates with it. Or you can even, you know, go the opposite direction and try and use that as your way of feeling it out and then fall back to something more safe if you feel like you need to. But at that point, like, you're already kind of rattled. So personally, I want to see them at least play it safe initially, and then I want to see the fireworks kick off when we get to Lotus.
Well, ding, 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 the 5-minute bell has now rung, so you need to all take your seats. And if you don't have a pencil for this final exam, fear not, because you can go ahead down to the school store, the Radiant store, where, you know, if you enjoyed the chaos yesterday, that was almost a 9-3 and an 11-3 curse coming true, and if you want to continue supporting Radiant and all of their initiatives, like the Radiant Academy, you can buy some amazing merch at the Radiant store. They have, you know, some hat logo, I think there's some Calling All Heroes merch if you're on the Overwatch side of things, like CB is. And like we said, all the profits go back into supporting future events for marginalized genders, so you can, you know, get some cool merch and feel good at the same time. So I think it's a win-win.
Small disclaimer, I don't think we actually sell pencils there, at least not yet. If we do, they would be fire, but I mean, you know, the merch itself is absolutely gorgeous. Make sure you bring your own pencils, all right? Keep your own pencils. We don't, yeah.
Well, regardless, I hope that our students are ready, because I think we've been doing kind of predictions, CB, about like, oh, is this going to be a 2-0? Is this going to be, you know, 2-1? And what the conditions have to be met for that in our minds. I think for me, I'm leaning again. We said Oompies we thought would take this as the #1 seed. They're destined to win. I think it's going to be a 2-0, but I think it's going to be like 13-9s to 13-11s territory, unless we see this first map of Sunset taken by Tanax GC. It's their map pick. Then I think we go to map 3, and it could be anybody's game, right? We talked about that litmus test of Ascent, and again, it is a decider, alas.
I'm inclined to defer to your judgment because I don't have as much intel on these teams as you do. But I was just kind of like looking at the seeding, looking at the ranks, looking at past performances. The fact that again these two teams have beaten all of the same teams to get here, and Oomfies is the team that we kind of came into things expecting again as the #1 seed, that Apex Predator to be this driving force, essentially leading the entire pack throughout this tournament. I kind of agree. I think it is going to be 2 O's, but not ones that that Tenax GC don't go down swinging in. Like, you know, I could see some 13-9s. I could see some like 13-11s maybe, perhaps if we get something really, really close. But it is going to have to be on Sunset if it's ever going to turn in Tenax's favor and go in any other direction.
Well, fortunately for all of you students, if you didn't study, if you weren't prepared, we have actually postponed our first part of the final exam. We're going to be taking a short break so that the students feel prepared, that they're in the lobby, ready to get the action started. And when we come back, it's going to be that map 1 of Sunset between Tenax GC and Oomfies.
We may be harsh graders, but we unfortunately do offer extensions in the event of sickness, loss of limb, or just tech issues, I guess. So, you know, you just shoot us a quick little email and we'll be cool about it, give you a little bit of extra time. But time is up for these teams. We've got everybody in the lobby. We are ready to go with our first matchup here. Oomfies versus Tenax GC, and we're kicking it off on Sunset.
Yes, and you know, Sunset has been played once this event. I believe it was actually in the quarterfinals by the side of Tenax, and it was pretty dominant against Ominous Minions, a 13-5. So that's probably why they picked it. They're trying to carry that momentum forward, and as we kind of staged, it is a must win for them if they want a chance here against the #1 seed of Oomfies. But Oomfies, this is a map that I think during Game Changers Open qualifiers, they are not afraid of shying away from, right? And they even floated it obviously through that first round of bans, so they definitely are going to have a trick or two up their sleeve. Now, what they're going to go with, I'm not too certain. You know, I've seen some Deadlock Cypher action coming out. I could see a Clove pick. So let's not keep that cat in the bag any longer. Let's let it out and see what it is going to look like. Drum roll, please. And it looks like, oh, you gotta be baiting us. There's no way. Okay, yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah. Like, you would have been right about the Vice pick, but just not on the correct side. No, it's gonna stick with old Reliable, have the Cypher, and like you predicted as well for Oomfies, there is that Clove that is currently being flashed by player 1. Gecko composition, Raise, Sova, and there we go, Deadlock, Cypher, Deadlock, Cypher, which one? Decisions.
I think it's just going to be a pretty standard composition here, like I said, with the Cypher. Panda very confident on their role, probably their most rehearsed. And I talked about it, right? The newest member being Hugga from Tadax GC, so they're going to have big shoes to fill going up against a Cypher of this caliber. But I am going to try and cross-reference my list, and I would like to say and I have no clue who that Clove is. I have to double check once I get back into the game. But beforehand, it was Carrie, Avery, Panda, Terra, Supercat. But I know we might have had some issues with some teams, so that could be a substitute player. We'll get that information transmit as soon as possible. But for now, it's just a mystery, right? This Clove's going to come out and ace in the first round, and we're going to be like, who is this? And it is, in fact, Avery, so I was correct there. And they're actually somebody that you might see playing Clove later on Lotus as well. So it's an agent they have known, come to know and love, and they are very capable on this agent, and I'm excited to see how that functions against, as a secondary entry, because you're going to see them played very aggressively, like how you've seen an Omen get played as well, CB.
I mean, I'm glad that it's like an actual player playing the Clove here, not just like a bot that they brought in to try and even the score, feeling that confident. So yeah, Avery going to be the one picking up the Clove there, and yeah, I mean, Oomfi's on the attack first, kicking things off. And we're talking again about how Tenax has to try and get the win on this map to try and get that momentum. I think that's the story that we're overall going to try and stick to, that we're setting up. It's going to have to start here on this first pistol round here.
And I think for Oomfi is starting out on the attack here is great. I think Tenax GC, their comp is really initiative heavy, like with that Nightfall, with that Rolling Thunder, and they're going to be better on the attacks. So trying to kind of thwart that early momentum, like we mentioned, not just in winning this map, but even getting progress on this map. So we're gonna see from Oomfi is some mid-scaling, but as a result, Panday, the loose end, gets cut off. A thread snipped away from the sweater, and now, okay, you might get overwhelmed, you might get traded, and there it is.
Yeah, and Always goes down as well, and this is, we talk about momentum. Oomfi's came out swinging with some momentum strong. It's going to be slowed down a little bit with another pickoff there onto Supercat, and, we're able to get the spike down over on B site. Tenak's going to go in for this retake, but there is Terror dishing out just that with an early shot there onto Array. Now has the angle despite getting blinded, though. Avery with another shot there onto Arthur and Unfeel down. Oomfi's take this early pistol round.
And while Avery is not going to be there by name, they are there with their frags. It's not an ace, but a nice two-piece to anchor down market after the plant had gone through and keep Oomfies in the saddle. And, I mean, I think what we saw there was nice from Tenax GC, right? The early pressure being able to cut off that lurk player, because that's a big closing factor for a lot of these plants is Panda and their late wraps. And that was probably the goal if they decided to fight top mid, but I liked how quick Oomfies was to respond, to refight back and get that advantage back before following through onto that B site, especially because they got rid of the Cypher, right? That's going to be your big enemy on the B site. But speaking of big enemies, they have 4 stacked. This again, the gamble flavor of an eco. We'll see if it pays off.
I mean, the Cypher camera's like right there too. It was going to catch literally all of them out right there. Just waiting for them to make a move here, but they're not showing. They probably know that camera's going to be there, and even better, they know Carrie's there. I mean, the trade's going to come out for it, but yeah, that's 1 for 1, and the camera, it's paying off. There's another shot there onto Arthur. Terror coming through. The rest of Oomfi's just coming out in force to avenge their lost comrade, and it's just down to this one final player, Always. And yeah, turntail run. Actually, no, you're going for a flank. Always was going all the way around. Gonna be showing up late to the party. Red solo cup's already empty all over the floor, wondering what happened.
What kind of school is this? This is Radiant Academy. Come on, CB. But I mean, this is what happens.
We're a party school, all right? We're known as one of those colleges that likes
Speaking
to
of
party and
party.
always knows how to get down, takes down Super Cat, but is also going to fall. Terror had the angle, and that was going to be a difficult one to win. No, we don't teach that in health class.
Oons, oons, oons. No, that was dancing, right? I said it was a party. But
Oh, you're right. Yeah, okay.
I will say there, right? That's just kind of what happens sometimes. Even if you get the gamble stat correct, just the better weapons can get the better of you. And always, good attempt there. You're right, making it not as clean for Oomfies carrying these weapons forward into a bonus. But we're still gonna be eyes on Terror with that Vandal, and also, the full shields with those Bulldogs and Guardians can definitely get the job done here. Tanax GC, I really hope for their sake that they're able to win out this rifle round. And again, it looks like they're going for this kind of aggressive B front, gather information. But look at this attempt is to flip the map on its head. That spy cam only is going to get information. It is not going to hold down this control. So what do? They're going to try and counter. They are following, tracking these players, but it feels like it's a bit too late. And now the sites have been absolutely swapped. The players of Tanax fighting from A main against a team that has flooded the site already.
Yeah, and Hugga never saw it come, and there's the shot there coming out from Carry. The spike should be going down here shortly on A, and there it is. Oomfies, I mean, yeah, they just managed to sneak their way right in the back door, and Tanax GC are trying to find any way back into their own home. I mean, yeah, Super Cat, even with light armor and a stinger, is able to take that duel effectively. Gonna fall courtesy of Always, but that's gonna get traded out as well. Trades are actually coming out, or assisting Tanax GC getting back in here. Unfeel finds 2, Array with 1 there on to Carry, and now it is just Panday in a 2v1 situation. Gonna find 1, has the angle, and I mean, you can't really go for the defuse here. Actually, hitting it a little bit. There we go. Panday pokes out again, finishes off Unfeel. Great attempt from Unfeel, though. A couple big pickoffs there that could have mounted into something, but Panday was just there, had the angle, and had the shots.
I mean, what did I say? This is your closer. Like, you want them alive later into the round because they're able to make out clutch plays like that, which is huge because, yes, you said it was a great attempt from Tanax GC, but that is a round they should have from economic standards, right? But again, that's where their chaotic plays, they can work if you're not prepared for them. Such as not even going for a snipe, but going for top mid control and wrapping back through the defender spawn into the A site. So, here we go.
Seems to be the MO of Oomfies. Try and move fast, be swift. They're going to lose Carry again early on, but that's never going to deter them, not going to slow them down. I mean, you can see Super Cat just no fear going forward, W keying, finds a straggler there. Hugga going to go ahead and take that gun straight from Super Cat, turn it on its once countryman. Looking for any more of Oomfies. And Super Cat, like, when Super Cat was going that far ahead, the rest of Oomfies can't be too far behind. They're going to go and get the spike down over on B site. And Terror has an angle once again. The rest of Tanax just trying to get in. There's a little bit of explosive damage, but it's not enough to deter Terror, who's now gotten 3. Can't make the 4th, but does just enough for Panday to once again be that closer. And it's a 4-0 for Oomfies, but aside from the pistol round, none of these wins have been clean.
Yeah. I'll agree with that to a degree. I mean, the second round was pretty clean. I think they only lost, to 1 player. And I think that's why they were able to convert that 3rd. But that round, like you said, is huge there because they're going to keep the economy in check, but they still don't like that they haven't won a round just yet. So Tanax GC going to take an early and proactive timeout, which I love. And I think it is just the fact that they need a way to address this rampant map control that Oomfies is gaining very, very fast. And as a result, I'm hoping to see maybe some aggression out of, again, one of these avenues, right? We go back to that pistol round, and what was their win con, or what would have been a win con, was the fact that we were able to find Panday really early, get a first blood really early, but then they overstayed their welcome. So what I want to see is, yes, take that fight, you're confident, swing it, and that's something that maybe Oomfies won't expect. And then once you get that advantage, fall back, disengage, right? Go back to the original objective, which is locking down these sites and not seeking out frags.
I feel like a lot of it is going to come down to mid control too, because I mean that seems to be Oomfies' way forward. Whether they want to wrap all the way around up to A like they did that one time, or shift over more towards B. Tanax GC have to try and find a way to lock that down without giving up the other sites for free, because like Oomfies, like it's just a beeline straight for wherever it is they want to be.
But that's the thing with this composition for Tanax GC, is I talked about how initiative heavy it is. It really is really good for the retake as well then, right? You have the breach, you have the fade, so you can just launch an eye and a fault line at the same time and then have your base scale up. So this is, in my mind, either an aggression or a retake-based team, right? They don't have as much delay power to hold down and anchor these sites, and that's how I want to see them play this. Because for now, like I said, you can just run rampant if you are Oomfies Super Cat, alone, toying with the idea of swinging through this top smoke, and they are, and they're not going to be able to find the raise, but it's Arthur, or saw it in the crossfires as collateral. In the meantime, though, that's just a distraction, right? They're actually headed towards the A site where Haga might get an opportunity here. Spike sent in without much protection. And as a result, that Spike just shipped and delivered into the Cypher's den. But now that Cypher is dead.
Well, there's still a Cypher's Den on the field, and it's Panday the Cypher's Den right now. Terror also, again, putting out more shots, and Oomphies, again, they've taken up all this real estate, and it's just always able to find the shot there onto Panday, but again, it was a 4v1. What can you really do? The answer is not much, and that's another swift and decisive move from Oomphies that Tenax GC, I mean, sure, their comp looks good on the retakes, but the retakes still aren't enough to get them a win.
Well, that's because that round I wouldn't even call it necessarily a retake just because of how there were 2 players dedicated on the site. And like how wonky it was that Oomphies just confidently sent in Wingman by themselves into the site. But looks like they are also, like you said, taking your advice, leaning away from retakes and going for that potential aggressive play because Array has the showstopper. So yeah, double saturating your way into a frag off this fault line, and they find it hook, line, and sinker. The stunned up players, though, for Oomphies are still good for the trade, so we're back to a 4-on-4, and now they get their chance to bring the terror. And Unfield, now you're not going to be feeling as you are in the grave. Tenax GC now down a player, but look at how deep their control is over towards A. They know this should be a B site lean.
Yeah, I mean, like, Oomphies, they've identified that Tenax went to try and stack over towards A, and now they can shift it over towards B and take a couple bodies down on the way. There's Terror with another one. I mean, we're only 6 rounds deep, and Terror has been going absolutely crazy. Spike goes down. Supercat looking to cut Hugga off, but Hugga gets the shot there on a flank here. It's just these last 2, again, trying to go for the retake. They don't really have a whole lot of utility that's going to be too good for this, and you can see this this nameless Clove just waiting and wondering who's going to come into their crosshairs. It's going to be Hugga, and Arthur wants none of this smoke, just going to back off right now. It's a 3v1, and everyone knows exactly where, exactly where they're at. Panday going to go ahead and snake that one out.
And yeah, I think a good definition for Oomphies, and I say this every broadcast and I will continue, is that Oomphies has the potential, they have the mechanics to be one of the best teams in Game Changers. It just is a matter of if they are hitting their shots on the day of or not. And if they aren't, then they can look really rough around the edges. But when they are, you see something like this, a 6-0 sweep right now of Tenax GC. They're like in like that political debate with like their team and like an extracurricular after school, and they're like the posh one that's like, oh, I always get first at state, and like Tenax GC's are like the newcomers, like, but I prepared. I'm ready.
Are you trying to make chat hate Oomphies? Is that what you're
No,
doing? Trying to like
no.
compare them to the posh straight A teacher's pet student right now? I mean,
Hey, there's nothing wrong with the straight A teacher's pet, and totally not me in high school. No, I'm joking.
all right, a little bit of projection from the casters never hurt, but I mean, there's a whole lot of projection coming out. Supercat projects themselves all the way this far up, and this aggression keeps paying off. Supercat gonna find 2, Arthur and Hugga both getting caught out. And I mean, Oomphies, sure, yeah, they're gonna lose carry, but Tenax GC are still trying to figure out what hit them. Array cleans up Panday as well. This could be the start of something. The Spike is still gonna go down on A. With 2 members, the Raze and the Omen, you might actually still be able to get a decent retake here.
I agree, but Clove, that Avery, right? They have their they're not dead yet online, right? So we're gonna see is them as the first line of defense. You saw them go explore towards CT. Now they're exploring towards the flank because they can take a fight, and if they lose it, they can come right back. And fortunately, they might not even need it. Frags found, and Array now pinpointed positionally. And they're going to try and scale up off their utility, and so far so good, but they've been hit by that metal, and with that vulnerability, it is enough for Oomphies to close it out and keep it up with their flawless run.
It's a valiant attempt from Array there, but I mean, like, with the angles that Oomphies are holding, it's just, you can't really... You can use your utility, you can use some of those explosives to try and build, like, zone them back, take a little bit more space, but in a 2v1 situation like that, you're just walking into the crossfire of all time.
Oh, for sure. But again, we're starting to see maybe them just warming up as well. Array specifically, those were some clean shots, I'm not going to lie. Able to shut down, maybe punish some of that over-aggression from Oomphies after the plan had gone through. But again, they're in such an economic rough spot. This is where you contemplate, like, yes, you only get 2 timeouts until overtime, but do you blow both of them in this first half? Because we've seen, you know, some 9-3s, 11-3s, but you don't want to be in that position trying to stage that comeback.
Absolutely not. I think you hold on to that one until things get a little bit more dire, and they might do just that. I mean, it's their MO for Oomphies. You see Supercat once again going super aggressive, trying to take some space. Tenax is trying to cut that off, but now Supercat just going to lead the charge over towards B site now. They've decided to, again, just go right up through mid, take what they want, and I mean, sure, we'll take Unfeel as well. Avery gonna go ahead and pop that not dead yet. Maybe get out alive here. Always trying to chase it down, and you're gonna wish you didn't.
You mentioned, again, the claim space mentality from Oomfies, and that route it's carried, doing it after they've already accomplished their goal of getting the spike down. And Supercat, they just replaced them on that hold. And at this point, that buy was kind of a half investment from Tenax, right? I think they had 2 Vandals and the rest with Deagles, for example. Always that was B main trying to tuck away, trying to play just like the rat. But because of that, we're going to see them save here, so they can hopefully have those players that saved with the Deagles now complement Arthur. Their Vandal to have a semblance of a full buy, but again, this is pulling ahead into the lead, 8 rounds guaranteed. And I think they're going to be entering an uptick of ultimates here again, right? You have that Razor, you have that Hunter's Fury, and we haven't even really seen them need any ultimates other than, Avery, you're like, all right, I can't be dead yet. I want to keep playing this round. I want to keep my weapon. And it's able to punish always as well so that they aren't a threat, from multiple angles there on that B post plant.
Arthur was able to successfully save that Vandal, though, but can't afford anything other than light armor to supplement it.
And now we get to see, like I said, that fuller buy. And Tenax, you see, this is a great opportunity for them. They're the ones with the ultimates, I think, at advantage, and we need to see them leverage them. That Showstopper, for example, really was nice in getting that early advantage. I want to see a play like that again.
Well, I mean, speaking of plays that we're going to see again, it's once again Supercat going right up mid, going to go ahead and probe, see what they can find, and it might be Arthur on the other side of this smoke. It comes... No, gonna actually trade it out. Hugga had the crossfire there. Supercat just kind of walked right up into that alley, tried to chase it down, got caught out in between, and that's going to kind of hinder Oomfi's ability to take space. They're going to try and move in onto B site now, but Tenax GC, now with the man advantage, and like you said, with the ultimate advantage as well, they are hip to this. If we're going to take down Always on the entry there, Hunter's Fury coming out as well. Oomphies are letting all their utility rip to try and get this on here. I think this is all spiraling a little bit out of control just off of that early pickoff onto Supercat. Panday is down, Unfeel with a shot there. Terror takes down Arthur, trading it out. It's back and forth on either side, but we haven't fully gotten that spike defusal coming through. Unfeel's trying to make it happen, but the shots from all 3 remaining members of Oomfies, each one claiming a life, and we're up 9-0.
And what we just saw there is the prime example of why there is a rework for the B side of Sunset coming. Is they had 3v3 retake. Like you said, they finally had an even retake attempt, but everybody from the side of Oomfies can just play off site, can funnel utility, and it's so difficult to next GC to dislodge these players. And you saw the attempts, right? Unfeel that breach utility was very, very well played. Unfortunately, they just kind of circumvented and they take all the angles to take the fight around. Like as well as keep it on that 9-0.
And I expect this 9 to continue to increase. We might even end up seeing a flawless half, because, I mean, looking at the buy, it was all light armor across the board from Tenax GC. Meanwhile, Oomfies, yeah, Array already taken down. Supercat doesn't even really need to see you in order to put you down. And Carry, a little bit over-aggressive there, but sure, we'll take that one down. Unfeel gonna go ahead and punish that aggression with some great shots to the dome. Carry taken down, but Unfeel, I mean, also some body shooting here. I mean, Oomfies are definitely feeling themselves right now. This is just playing with confidence, playing with your food even. Arthur with a shot there onto Panday, but I mean, yeah, Supercat, again, no fear, all aggression, all gas, no breaks. Oomfies 10-0, and I mean, they're eyeballing that perfect half.
Ooh, and now we get to see. Again, I mean, that's double digits. That's really, really rough. And, I mean, the fact that the buy isn't here for Tenax GC again, he's like, we're going to pull even further up into that 11. Maybe is another I like this breach stack, and I want to see some pressure off of it from the rest of their teammates. I want to see them commit.
We'll have to see if that commitment is able to come out, but it actually looks a little bit more like hesitancy from Tenax GC. They know what's coming. They're going to take down Supercat, and okay, that's their opening shot. They need to keep punishing that Ray's aggression every single time it comes out, because that's Oomfi's ability to take space. They do have a contingency plan. Going to wrap all the way around and take A site here, but now Tenax GC, they know. They are now privy to exactly what it is Oomfies are trying to pull here. Setting up some angles, setting up some crossfires, but Hugga and Arthur both getting caught up by Panday. Panday had the shots. Showstopper coming up from Array. It's not going to find much of anything, but we are at an even 3-3 here. Again, all stemming from that early pickoff onto Supercat and a rotation coming around over to B site now from Oomfies.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, right? You gamble, rotate over to the A site, and that showstopper was ripped, like, way too late, right? They've already committed to the B-site rotation, and that ultimate was neutralized. But Terra, you said it, they've been having a good first map. They're trying to be that first line of defense, and unfortunately just clearing the wrong angle order here. And now, finally, 10X have an advantage on the retake! But look at that carry proactivity, only getting what they need and getting out.
It's just Carrie and Avery, all that's standing in between Tenax GC, finally getting some wind in their sails, and it's not gonna happen this time as they both have the shots yet again, playing off of that B site with the angles, like you said. I mean, you even had Carrie playing far up and still just didn't get punished for it.
And just like that, Moonfies, you've heard of the 9-3 comeback, you've heard of the 11-3 comeback, CB. Are you ready for the 12-0? No, joking.
I've never heard of an 11-0 or a 12-0 comeback.
Happen, yeah. But, I mean, better time than never. I mean, you're back to a bye, at least for the most part. Arthur obviously cannot even afford a light shield here, which is going to be a little bit rougher, but... Look at this, the ult online. Supercat just gonna dynamically go for the explosion here. But speaking of explosion, it's Tenax aggressing forward, but the timing isn't there, and Supercat just eliminates all of it.
That's my style of play. You just run forward and hold down mouse 1, hit all the shots, come in with that showstopper. I mean, and everybody from Tenax GC has already evacuated the dance floor. They already know there is blood all over it. We don't want to stick around. Avery still not dead yet. Hugga with the shot there. Gonna get punished there by Panday. And oh, this is a slaughter. Like, turn off your monitors right now if you don't want to get put on a watch list.
Like I love Moonfies. Like I said, I'm friends with them. I play with them in Minecraft servers. But at this point, if you are in chat, like, you have to see them as the supervillains in a good way, like in the storylines, right? Like in Valorant, like there are teams that are just viewed as the supervillains, but like teams still love them. And I mean, 12-0 on the Tenax GC's map pick as well. Like, this is as diabolical as you can get coming into this map. And I mean, Tenax GC, like I said, I put them on this pedestal doing the same performance, the same level of play against the same teams in their group stage and into the playoffs as Moonfies did against those teams. And I'm just in awe here at Moonfies and their performance so far.
And like, again, it seems like their MO is just send Supercat up really, really aggressive, take whatever they can get, and, you know, if they die, they die. But, like, Moonfies are well coordinated enough. They have the composure, the posture to have contingency plans, to have backups, to hit the shots that they need to hit, even when that initial plan goes awry. And Tenax GC, it doesn't seem like they really have a plan B right now. So right now, again, sticking to plan A, just trying to neutralize the threat that is Supercat. But even through the smoke, Supercat just spraying and praying and takes down one. And this is looking so bad for Tenax GC. This is a confidence destroyer coming out. It's just always, and that is it.
And if there's anything in Valorant that's the equivalent of acing a test without studying, I think Moonfies just did it. 13-0 on their opponent's map pick. I am just in awe there. And I mean, the fact that you're even able to flood with 5 teammates into that A site, just to have that confidence to leave that much of the map open on a pistol, just shows that, like, they truly are embracing the pug energy and carrying their mechanical fracking into their approach at countering Tenax GC.
There is still, like, kind of that degree of coordination, but I'm definitely seeing, like, a lot of just pure raw fragging potential, a lot of, I don't even want to say overly confident plays, right? Because it's only overly confident if you get punished. And like I said, even if they manage to punish Supercat, what next? You know, you still have Terror hitting so many shots. You still have Panday holding all of these aggressive angles and being able to find the shots that come with it. So, I mean, like, Moonfies are on right now.
Oh, for sure. And I mentioned, right, that Terra and Panday haven't been on the same roster. It's usually one or the other, kind of subbed in for these PUG events or the serious GC Open qualifiers now. And maybe this is what struck gold. Sometimes, you know, you add the right ingredients and you're going to have that chemical reaction. And I think a 13-0 is a pretty good one to note down in your lab book if you are the side of Moonfies. But hope's not gone. I said yes, that I thought that Tenax had to win that map if we wanted them to have a chance here. But I could be really wrong about our next map of Lotus, just because it has been played fairly consistently by both teams, right? 3-0 for Moonfies and 2-0 for the side of Tenax GC. But again, with that vice possibility looming in the air, anything is possible.
And honestly, for that, I honestly say let it rip. I mean, you just got away with bloody murder on map 1. Like, you might as well have a little bit more fun, you know? Play with your food a bit, I guess, or practice and theory craft for some future potential compositions that you maybe want to run, and that Vice now coming into fruition for them, it's a good time to bust it out and get a couple reps in with it, I think.
Oh, for sure, especially before the open qualifiers come back in early October. But, you get your breaks in between sections of that final exam or the AP exam. So what we're going to do is go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll see if Tenax GC can kick off a reverse sweep on Oomphy's map pick of Lotus.
Blink and you miss it. The first map already done and over with. It feels like we only just started the show, and we're already going into map 2 for Oomphies versus Tenax GC. Oomphies on Sunset put on a clinic.
Yeah, it's like when you're taking a test and you just like speed run it so you can get the rest of the day off when it comes to the final exam season, and you somehow still get an A. But we
Not
talked
even an A, 100%.
100%.
Like, they didn't-
Yeah, you're right. Didn't even kind of drop around there, but I'm surprised by that, right? We hadn't even seen Sunset from Oomphies this event. So the fact that they came out swinging that hard is just a statement in itself.
We barely saw it from them at all just a bit ago. Like, again, like blink and you miss it. It comes, it goes, it's already gone, and now we're on to the next one. Looking to the future, I suppose. I mean, potentially even looking all the way to grand finals if this tempo keeps up, because getting completely blown out on your map pick is, like I said, a confidence destroyer. So, Lotus, Tenax GC, it's Oomphy's map pick, but Tenax GC have to pick themselves up and try and mount any sort of offense here, mount any sort of defense, mount anything. Just mount something, and hopefully it's enough to get them back into the fight here, maybe take us to that third map decider. But, I mean, with how well practiced Oomphies are on Lotus and how dominant they looked on Sunset, I don't even see that third map like at all. I'm definitely predicting the 2-0 here.
Yeah, I mean, I have to decide with that, right? Be a realistic here, tell the truth as the teachers. But I do stand by the fact that, yes, aside from Icebox, this is the best chance that Tanax GC has, other than maybe their map pick, to get a map off of the side of Oomfies, right? It's a map that they have also played a lot and that they are also very rehearsed on. It is going to come down to, yeah, are these unorthodox compositions, though, from the side of Oomfies, whether that is the Cypher Deadlock or the Vice pick, going to be too much to handle. We just saw Vice, right, debuted over in the NRG Neon Dream Invitational, and they were dropping insane frags, and it was so difficult just to learn how this agent navigates in such a short span of time. But we are ready to jump into Agent Select, so we'll get to see if that Vice pick comes true, which I'm hoping what you said would fuel them towards it, but looks like we're not gonna get it. Come on, Oomfies, how could you do this to me?
Well, it does look like they are going to be going for the Neon, at least they're flashing it right now. Terror hasn't exactly committed to it just yet. I'm seeing some Deadlock. Yeah, so it is going to be that Deadlock Cypher variant that you were talking about, which I guess maybe they are still showing Tanax GC some respect and going back to All Reliable, playing what they feel a little bit more comfortable on or a little bit more well-practiced rather than trying to reinvent the wheel right now and bust out that Vice. Maybe it's, it ain't a full-time job. Oomfies don't get paid by the hour, so let's just get this over with, get themselves to grand finals. Maybe early dismissal. Get themselves an early break.
Yep, for sure. Like I said, they're going back to that comp that they more consistently play when they're taking things seriously. I am curious to see how the Neon's going to work out for the side of Tanax GC, though, because I think it is a nice counter to that kind of typical Raze Fade combination that we're seeing from Oomfies, but it is hard to say how it's going to go.
Well, I'm also kind of curious to see if the tempo and the strategies carry over from Sunset to Lotus here, because again, Oomfies again. They like to go in really aggressive with the Raze from Supercat and then have the rest of the team kind of follow up on whatever sort of damage they're able to do and just make the decision, on the fly. Whether or not Supercat lives, it kind of ends up being irrelevant because you can better believe that Supercat has most likely made a dent in the enemy forces on their way down. So as we go with Tanax GC on the attack first, we're going to actually get to see what Oomfies' defense looks like for more than one round, it would seem.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie to you, you talked about, right, if that same momentum, that same pacing is going to come out from Oomfies, I feel like they're going to go for those aggressive pop plays round after round. It's just going to be a matter of where it's happening, right? This round, it's going to be that Fade, Nade combo over towards A. They're going to try and fizzle that with their own Fade utility. We'll see how it decides to ensue later on. For now, though, it's Tanax GC. Like you mentioned, I love their attack half, and we'll get to see them hopefully on it where it's a sided map towards the attack. My concern, though, is they're already complicating things on a pistol, right? They're not going for a direct side here. They're going for this kind of B-C split, and then they have to challenge both through Cypher and Deadlock utility on this C-take.
I like the way that they're currently split, though. It does actually threaten a little bit of pressure coming out from the retake from Oomfies. That said, though, you're already going to go ahead and lose Avery. One down, Array with a great early shot there to help kick things off for Tanax GC. They're all here on C site, and they've yet to successfully get the spike down. Arthur, on the other hand, is down, and Array going to join them. It's traded out 50-50 on both sides. Panday, though, again, an angle, and Hugga didn't check the corner coming out of the smoke, never saw it coming. Panday, though, out of ammo, can't actually finish it off onto Unfeel, the last remainder, but here comes Supercat with that aggression coming through, cleaning up Unfeel, and Oomfies are able to retake successfully.
Yeah, even though Tanax GC is able to get control over that site, just the sheer delay utility that is there allows for that time to rotate, allows for that time for Supercat and Terror, those two A-side players that we saw get aggressive, to get there and be those closers for the round. So Tanax GC, again, in my mind, they cannot dilly-dally. Like, yes, I'm usually all for getting information, all for kind of defaulting to see exactly where you want to head. But with this team, it's not going to work out how you want it to for their confidence, for their speed. Like, they're not scared of leaving defensive gaps open like other teams are, right? They're not going to be patient. They're just going to be like, all right, let's just try. And if we get flanked, we get flanked. And that seems to be the case here this round as well. They're going to leave the Raze temporarily, holding this angle over towards A since I think they have a sniper rifle. But as soon as contact's made with the spy cam, I expect to see even more rotations towards the C site.
I don't know why you would ever worry about being flanked when you've got Panday and Terror constantly hitting all the shots, and meanwhile you have Supercat being the one who is constantly on the flank. And speaking of, I mean, look at how far away from the fight right now Supercat is. Going to be really late to this party that is about to start kicking off once this Cypher cage goes down. And Array getting caught out there by Carry, and Oomfies have C on full lockdown right now. I mean, Tenax GC, they have to try and back out. They can't commit to this right now. They're losing bodies. They managed to take down Carry, but I mean, they go in, lose 3 bodies, and back out, and that's all they can get.
Talk about confidence again, buying up Vandals in the second round. Oomfies keep it fairly clean as well. So now, this round, you have a really good shot again at converting things, and that Outlaw for Supercat's gonna be really, really scary, right? I feel like you haven't gotten blessed with seeing the true potential of the Outlaw. Like, you saw it over on Ascent, but Icebox and Lotus are where it is, like, terrifying. And the fact that there's 3 light shields on the fact for Tenax GC, and they're about to fight into the A site, I think we're about to see a bloodbath.
Supercat's not even buying heavy armor. Doesn't even have to.
You miss your shot, you're dead regardless.
I guess that's the strategy. Maybe just save it up, but you know, I mean, they could definitely afford it, but you definitely feel like they don't need it. Yeah, you hit your shots just like that. Okay, there we go. Maybe, yeah. Okay, you hit the shot. You're gonna get taken down. Actually, it's gonna start to favor Tenax GC here as Array takes down Avery. But now we're not really fully committed to A site yet. We have to try and get there before the cavalry comes back in from Oomfies, coming back in from CT side. Unfeel going for the plant right now. Should be able to stick it. Terror lurking around, looking.
I like this setup so far. They have information off the tether. Terror slowed down a little bit. An Array with 3 kills on the board. On par now for an ace. Carry, though, going to keep it close here. Panda, I think that drop-down sound cue has been noticed, and the Annihilation could be exactly what they need to flip the script, but it doesn't land. And with Array taken out, the numbers are quickly equated and dwindling. A 1v1, the back is turned. Panda with the clutch every time. They have to have a 100% clutch rate at this point, right? Because they haven't dropped around.
Yeah, that's definitely a 100% clutch rate that comes out from Panda. That first shot, by the way, was absolutely insane. Comes out looking in the complete wrong direction. Manages to just like rotate like 90 degrees, still hit the shot, and then follow it up with 2 more before Tenax GC even know what hit them.
Oh, for sure. So again, this is looking a little scary for the side of Tenax GC. Again, I'm hoping to see maybe a 4th or 5th round timeout if they lose next round or 2. Aside from that, though, there is the overdrive online, which I think is why we see Array invest into the full shield but no weapon, right? So they are going to try and be that tip of the spear for the team, and they're just going to simplify things like I asked for. Try and fight directly into A, but if you're going to fight into A, you got to be aware of the trap plays. A lot of chip damage off of the breach there, but Array not thwarted here. Trace wherever they can, clear out these corners, and it's actually respect being shown by Oomfies. Instead, gonna play for the retake, and they're gonna be down 1 additional person, 2 additional people for that, because Arthur has also found something with their Hero Vandal.
A lot of respect being paid to this, like you said, but maybe too much respect, because, I mean, Oomfies, they have to back up and give up so much map control. A-site is essentially for free, just entirely based off the fear of that overdrive, and even though, like, you still have a couple of stragglers, I mean, Haga gonna fall? Another shot there from Avery. It's traded out. This is actually starting to look really, really good for Tenax GC if they can keep this momentum up.
And I said it in Agents, like, the Neon can be hard to play against an Array. Fancy footwork at all. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Carry trying to bait them out, but they don't realize they're still the tracking good. That's a Vandal down. It's left on Terror. A 1v3 time not on their side. And now they are evading all this utility, and always a good way back their first round of the series.
I mean, I would have been disappointed if we saw a double blowout here, but I mean, yeah, Tenax GC, they finally got something for it, but it did cost them that overdrive, which is not going to be a tool they have at their disposal again. And even, like, economy-wise, it's still looking like they can afford the full buy here, sure, but they don't really have a safety net to carry this over, so they have to keep this momentum up, and it wasn't enough to fully stop Oomfies from being able to have something resembling a pretty decent buy of their own. We once again have a sniper with light armor.
And again, this combo is at least going to keep these players at bay, but Array disrespects it. They get ahead of the curve. Now it's just the fights ensuing like normal.
Trying to find the shots, but it's being respected by Oomfies now. They're no longer playing with house money right now. They know that if they give Tenax GC some space, they can actually capitalize on it, especially Array, who is holding down this angle, just making it so that Oomfies can't progress. Tenax GC, it looks like they're trying to wrap themselves up towards A site yet again, but you still have 2 members of Oomfies holding it. You gotta try and break their hold before you can get your way in, and Unfeel struggling to even get through the door right now. Panday finds a shot onto a Ray. Ray slides a little bit too aggressively, and that's one down for Tenax GC. They're going to go ahead and trade it out. Take down Avery. Panday, though, still holding this angle, looking for another body to show themselves, and they're not quite ready to. Getting pressured back. It's looking good for Tenax GC. Now they're actually able to get the spike down. They've rotated it over towards B site. Oomfies coming on in. Arthur takes down Carrie, and this is starting to look good again for Tenax GC. They have a man advantage. They got the spike down. And there we go. Another pick off there from Panday onto Arthur, but it's traded out for Supercat. It's 2v3. Unfield takes down Panday.
And this is the turnaround we wanted to see. Terra in a 1v3. I don't expect them to use any of these ultimates, and now they're going to have those ultimates moving forward into the next round. And there it is, now 1 round away. Economy shattered for Oomfies. This is their opportunity to tie things up here, 3-3.
Yeah, it's an XGC. I mean, it is an attacker-favored map, so we're not going to put too much stock in it, but it is definitely worth noting that on the attacker-favored map, they're actually starting to get their wheels spinning. They're starting to get some momentum going their way. Oomfies, I mean, is just buying a bunch of revolvers and not a whole lot of armor, saving it up for the next rainy day.
And just like that, we'll see if rain comes. We see these kind of trap play, but they keep doing it every single round, so now it's pretty easy to evade, but ooh, I was gonna say, always, you got caught out there a little bit, buddy, and that's all the smoke's gone. So it's gonna be a heavier reliance on this Nightfall, heavier reliance on the Neon, and just like that,
You put your heavy reliance on the Neon, it is in fact going to pay dividends. It's still traded though. I mean, again, they keep going for that play over at A, and you were talking about just evading it. It's even easier for Supercat to just parry it, but now, as the spike is now down on A site, Arthur going to go ahead and find an early pickoff there. Oomfies struggling to find a way in there. Carrie gets taken down as well. 2v4, and it's just Supercat trying to look for a way in, but every possible angle they can realistically approach from has 2 sets of eyes on it right now, and Supercat, yep, gonna peek out and peek right back over, but here comes the firing squad. Everybody gonna go ahead and deal with that one, and they know Panday is lurking here. Panday able to take down 1, but that's about all you're gonna get for your money there.
And Tenax GC tie at 3-3. They only use that Nightfall, again, because Always had fallen so early. Now what they can do is start segmenting these ultimates. We didn't really get to see these opportunities over on Sunset because of how dominant Oomfies was and how flawless a lot of those rounds were. But now they're also going to have that Rolling Thunder to, again, just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Go back towards A. Execute directly. And that's kind of what I asked for them, right? I said, hey, stop with these defaults. Stop trying to find information, because Oomfies, they know how to win their solo fights. And the power numbers has been working for Tenax.
Well, it looks like right now they're going to go with some defaults. They're going to try and find some information here. They're no longer going for that play over towards A. This time they're going to approach directly from C mount, but it is actually going to be very, very decisive. Going to go ahead and pop that fault line, potentially looking for the Rolling Thunder as well to get in, but Supercat takes down Hugga. It's going to get traded out by Always, who's been there constantly to try and stop the aggression that comes out from Supercat. Array looking to match with a little bit of aggression of their own, but it's getting pressured out. Gonna fall courtesy of Carrie. And I mean, this very decisive play towards C-Site hasn't really borne a whole lot of fruit. The spike is down. I mean, they're gonna have to try and recover it back at C, and it's deep in C-Site.
And now you get to see the use of this from the shadows, as I mentioned prior. CB is the perfect get out of jail free card. You get the spike recovered, you get your rotation over to the A site. The issue here is that that deadlock sensor is still up, still active, and the rotations have come through to punish off of it. The smoke's out. They know this is an A execution, and I hope the timing is just right. The concuss, the follow-up, and then the Cloval utilized.
Yeah, you can't afford to take that trade either. I mean, you're gonna finally deal with that Clove once and for all. Take down Terror as well, but Carrie was there with the angle. They roll in packs. They're never alone. Your Apex Predators take the lead once again, 4-3.
Here we go. Oomfies deny claiming of the lead. Are able to shut down that rotation play. And again, I kind of fall back to they had a slower start there, right? They, yes, ended up on that C exec eventually, but it gave more time for Oomfies to get into position. So I want to see them maybe go back towards the A set again. Like, keep it simple. Just hope you win your gunfights. And Oomfies this round with the showstopper in hand, I don't know how likely that's going to be.
Well, it does look like, at least initially, they're going to throw a little bit of utility to try and convince people they are going towards A, but it's split. 2 down C mount, 2 down A, and 1 going straight up the middle. This is one of those situations where they're probing and they're looking for information. That thing that you said you didn't want to see. They even left the spike behind. indicating they want to wait for an opportunity to present itself, and Hugga looking to make an opportunity, has an angle on Avery, but is not going to be able to find the shots, only going to be able to pressure Avery back. Maybe gets like one little instance of damage there, if that, still knows that they're there, but can't really do a whole lot about it. Even going to get smoked out from that angle, so can't follow up on much of anything, and we're still at a stalemate.
For once, nobody falling early here is going to be nice, but my concern is if they wait, if they pop this Nightfall, we're probably going to see an immediate response from Supercat on that raise, right? Oh, but they've been spotted out. A great C's aftershock combo, and just like that, they're flushed out. The showstopper, that rocket launcher, neutralized. And here comes the hit.
I don't know about that immediate response. I don't think that's coming to fruition, but there's a response from Terror taking down Array. Unfeel going to go ahead and trade that out, but you're going to need a little bit more than that. Trades going out on either side. We're down to 2v2. Hugga has the angle. Harry walks up slowly, a little bit too slowly there, gets flashed as well, and Hugga gonna clean that one up, and now it's just Panday. I mean, Panday, you have been flawless on the clutches so far. Do you got one more in you, buddy? I mean, the angle from Hugga and Unfeel right now through the smoke. Panday, I think, knows that they're there. Gonna go ahead and take the shots, finds one onto Hugga, and now it's just Unfeel and a turret. What are we gonna find here? Oh, Unfeel walks just right into the Lion's Den, and it is another clutch for Panday.
And Oomfies again will extend their lead by 2 here.
You forget.
And just like that, I feel like it was a good battle between the ultimates here as well. And my only concern is the fact that the Supercat didn't pop the showstopper means that that's going to be a tool they now have to solidify it, which I think is why Tenax GC is going to take this time out. And I think this is in a lot better spot, obviously, than they were over on Sunset. So that's huge. And we'll get to see then if they have more to work with now when they go to making changes. Because then they know now what works, right? Versus they were flying blind over on Sunset.
Well, so the question is, I don't even know if I would consider it a question. They know, like, they definitely know that showstopper is online, and they know that lately Supercat has been holding down that A site. So do they try and go for that rotation there and just try and brute force that? Maybe try and take that out of commission again like they did last round? On their side, they also have the lockdown as well, which can be a good initiation tool when they try and get onto a bomb site. But if that showstopper takes a man down before they can even get to use that, Tenax GC are in trouble.
Oh, we'll get to see if trouble is in fact dispelled here after this timeout. I mean, we obviously saw no conversion out of it over on Sunset, right? Because it was a 13-0 favoring Oomfies. But I like this lockdown. It's going to kind of, I guess, aid what I said about these more directive site hits. The question is, will Oomfies read into what the play here is for Tenax? And also, Hugga's kind of been that lurk player, right? Ensuring that there isn't a pop play through B, through C, and that there isn't an immediate flank that they have to worry about when it comes to Oomfies and their aggression.
At least initially, it's looking like what I said. They are going to try and make that play over towards A, and Supercat is there as well. So the mission, if they should choose to accept it, and I mean, if they don't accept it, they're definitely not going to get too far, is deal with Supercat and the showstopper, which is even being augmented with some utility coming out from the deadlock as well. I mean, Oomfies, they know that Tenax GC want to be here. Tenax GC knows that Supercat is here, but Supercat has actually been snuck out the back door. Gonna try and take an angle from the other side. Still gonna try and pressure this A site, but is no longer where they think they are. Here, straight through the wall, but not able to find the damage. Finds exactly where the two are playing. Not able to find the wall bangs there. It's just not coming through. It's just a couple inches off from Terror.
Now, as a result, again, you talked about that stalemate a few rounds back. We are in the same sort of situation here. And my concern is that we've also seen the defensive change from Oomfies, right? Not that stock hold of utility on the C site, because that's where the Clove is playing. It's instead on B. So this Neon Array, I don't think it's going to expect it. It might run right into this trap wire, and that is the cue for the spray, for the Annihilation, and the showstopper. Unfortunately, neither of the ults connect, but they still have an advantage. They still have denied the control over the B site, and that's when the counter comes out. That's when the lockdown comes out, because things are starting to get away from them.
I mean, yeah, like you said, it's starting to get away from them. There's two members falling immediately. Sure, they're able to utilize the lockdown to clear out the site and get the spike down, but, I mean, they're not going to detain anybody. Oomfies, they're woke to this. They know exactly what's up, and they've got all the angles they can come in from. 4 different hallways. They can just walk right on in. Array trying to stuff down at least one of them. Supercat really low HP, so only going to take a couple of bullets to take them down. Mission successful on that one. Now just do that 3 more times, and we're up to something, but Avery going in for the defuse, so Array has to make a move, gets caught out on the rotation, and so does Hugga, so the defuse will come through for Oomfies.
And just like that, they deny that important lockdown, that important ultimate, deny the round, and they lock themselves in with security here at the half. 6-3 at a minimum, the 6-6. And now, I mean, the buys are okay for both of these teams, so tonight, GC, right, they maybe weren't at full strength last round, or maybe they're just trying to force up. We also saw the impact that Array had with his overdrive last time, and it is back online, so maybe getting a part 2 here to see it be what Tanax needs to turn the game around.
But I mean, if it's anything to go on like the last time, I mean, Oompies, they just play back and they respect it and they give all of the space. And sure, let them plant the spike. They're going to lose Super Cat early, so I definitely think you're going to want to respect the potential for that overdrive to come out now, especially now knowing that you've lost a man there. Carry going to fall as well. I mean, sure, Terror trades back too, but going to give their life for it. And Tanax GC, they've done a lot of damage and they haven't even had to pop that ult yet.
That, we'll see. Because something has been read by Oompies incorrectly. The A site where they sit, but it might have also just been because of the expansive Cypher utility, right? You have a trip on B, a trip on C, you have no concrete info over on A. Now they know the plant coming through on the B site. They know at least the Neon has fallen back over towards main. They can hear the swarm grenades. So they kind of are getting a picture now of what this post plan is going to look like. But the one outlying factor is look at this fade and this immediate wrap. But they weren't walking. They weren't taking their time. So the Clove, Avery, I thought was aware of it. And now they should be able to deal with Arthur. They need to win this 1v1. And unfortunately, that is not going to be in the cards. Panda, again, can your clutch gene hold up in a 1v3?
I mean, sooner or later, it all has to falter. Maybe going for a little bit of a ninja diffuse here. Yeah, they know.
No way.
Can they stop it?
The Neon.
No.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, that was a really bold and aggressive play there from Panda.
Almost
nearly
worked.
actually got it. Yeah, it nearly almost worked.
Less than a second.
I think once you realize that you get a couple shots on, you start to really zero in on the position there and can actually dial in your shots a little bit more even through the smoke. So risky, doesn't pay off. Finally, I mean, it's the opposite of the blind squirrel. Like, this time Panda did not find the nut.
And I think that came out of the utility, right? The Fade Prowler, because it guided where they had to shoot the bullets, because the wall bangs, or I should say the smoke sprays, were just not connecting there. And I think the Neon wouldn't have gotten there in time, to be honest, even with their high gear. But now, back to standard proceedings, it seems like, for Oompies, right? That nade. They are trying to maybe bait that the Fade isn't there, just because there was no Cs, and as a result, the quick nature of the scale should come true for Tanax GC. So they're trying to keep Terror in the dark, so that these wall bangs can maybe connect, so that maybe they don't clear out tree as effectively. And so far, Tanax GC thinks something's up.
Every single time Tanax GC take this angle, they're able to take down Super Cat, but what's that behind the door? Terror gets taken down from always. Tanax GC are making a lot of headway over here towards A site. They're going to be able to get the spike down. Oompies going to try and make the retake here. Carry with a great shot there onto Array to open it up. Looking for anyone else to try and peek their head out, but I think Tanax GC, knowing they got the spike down and Carry has this angle, they don't want to try and take the fight here on Carry's terms, especially now that Panda has arrived. They both have the angle, but it is going to be on Oompies to be the ones to make the move here somehow. Panda has been exposed, but the shots come through for both Avery and Carry. It's even 2v2. Panda taken down, and now it is just Avery trying to make the shots there, but they aren't. But Unfeel is 100% there, hits the shots, and Tanax GC, once again, getting a little bit something going, can maybe even this up before the half.
Yeah, that would be a huge turnaround considering our first map here. And they have the ultimates to close out this half as well, right? Rolling Thunder into the site, shut down these trap plays. And speaking of trap plays, this looks like the heaviest A site stack we've had, right? The Cypher utility, the Deadlock utility. They are making adjustments on the fly for Oompies to try and stop this A hit, but they still haven't addressed the weakness that is tree control, right? Because that's been their in to the A site. So we're gonna have to see a change there. For now, it is just a C's nade combo that's a little bit to the left this time, just because they expect Array and that dash in, but fortunately still doesn't connect. And we'll get to see, hopefully, this trap wire do its job.
Oh, yeah, it definitely has done its job, and Array is in a lot of trouble right now. Panda gonna clean that one up. You've lost 2 on the intake here. You aren't able to get Super Cat like you've been this whole time. Sure, you get Avery, but not quite dead yet. Panda takes down Arthur as well, and this is all falling apart for Tanax GC. It's looking like it's gonna be 7-6 when we go to the half here, unless Hugga pulls off some miracle plays. I don't know if you believe, but I'm not so sure I do.
Ooh. I mean, that would have been an ace clutch onto the table, and unfortunately it does not connect. The shorty to finish off the half, and again, right? I praised 10 actually see like they were getting rounds when they kept the play simple and they went for that directive A hit. But the issue is, right, you still run that risk, which each time that you replicate it, you give another opportunity for Oompies to figure out how to counter it. And we saw it beautifully there, right? They denied the Rebel space with that Seasonade combination adjustment, and then they also placed the utility on the choke point there that clipped kind of the wings of that Neon Array, who's been that space maker on site, clearing out backside, clearing out tree, and they also just didn't really scale up at the same time into tree, likely because they were afraid, right, because of that Seasonade combination, so they couldn't take that space as quickly to meet the pacing of their Neon. But regardless, those are mistakes of the first half. We have now swapped, and again, what did I tell you, Sleepy, about this map? That it's an attack-sided map? Well, guess what? Oompies had a defensive lead, and now they are on the attack.
And we know exactly how they love to attack. We're gonna have to be. I'm gonna be seeing if Supercat tries to make similar plays to what they were doing over on our last map here. But he's gonna go ahead and go straight to point C. A little bit uncharacteristic and very risky. I mean, and they're caught out too. The smokes, all the utilities. Supercat gonna go ahead and use the satchel to try and take this aggressive angle over onto Arthur, but not able to find the shots. It's traded out. A little bit of damage on either side and gonna get punished. Arthur finds two. Always gonna take one down as well. And even though Oompi's able to strike a little bit of blood of their own, it's not looking too great for them. Terror takes down Always though and finds another. It's now been evened up. Terror always seems to have the shots when they need it most.
And they're not going C. They realized that there was flank pressure coming through because of that revolving door sound cue. So they're going to get at a dodge. Clove, obviously Avery, low HP here. So they want to try and either let Terror frag out and be that hero play, or they're going to try and play side by side. And it looks like the first suggestion is going to come true. Okay, now they know, all right, this wasn't an A plant. We have to figure out if it's B or A. They're not going to have too much time now to navigate the situation.
It looks like they're going straight for A. I think they know that that's the most likely situation. They didn't hear any noise coming from B side. I think they were close enough to where they would have been able to hear it had it been. So they're going to put all their eggs in the fact that it is, in fact, the A basket. And they are correct. The question is, can they get in? Oh, it's a lot of damage that comes out there. Array with a slide comes through, takes down Avery. Beautifully done. But Terror not quite. Never mind. Terror's done. I'm going to say Terror not quite done as they find another one. But again, Array was there. And with only 10 HP, able to clutch it up.
And in the great words of Game Changers legend Power Pixel when they were coaching me, in a 1v1, do not pull out your utility! And that's exactly what Terra gets cut off on after they heroically, right, I feel like claimed that round from the clutches of defeat over on C site with that 2-piece over towards Waterfall. But regardless, that means that, again, when it's a 7-5 half, you win that pistol, you are guaranteed at least an opportunity to bounce back to tie things 7-7. And it looks like Tanax GC isn't going to let this opportunity slip through the cracks. No Outlaw buy, but Air Ray with the Marshall. There isn't really too much confidence that, like, there's no Hero Vandals, Hero Phantoms. It's just kind of more of a standard buy, and I'm hoping that that's not going to be an Achilles heel, especially with wallbang from Terror to punish the sniper angle.
Okay, maybe you do wish you had a little bit more armor there instead of the light armor and the Marshall, but hey, it's on the floor now. Someone else maybe pick it up and make better use of it than Array was able to, and I think that puts a lot of pressure onto the rest of Snax JC, because they've been relying on Array to be the one to make a lot of these big plays here. Arthur's also had a lot of good shots and done a lot of damage of their own, but it hasn't really matched up to the same playmaking potential so far. They're going to be able to get the spike down our Oompies on B site, and the rest of Snax GC were still over hanging out near A. Avery with a shot there with a shorty onto Unfeel. Supercat gets traded out. But, I mean, Avery's still not dislodged from this angle here. And Carrie is there as well. Takes down Arthur. And this is looking really good for Oompies.
Oh, for sure. Only 2 players left. Scratch that one. And again, it's in a clutch position. And they're just trying to bait the kills into them for them to track them down. Try and isolate the players 1v1 style. I mean, you don't have a weapon you want to save, right? It's only a Spectre. It looks like that might still just be the case for them, right? You forced up. That could be your only opportunity at shutting down some of the weapons next round. Because I'm guessing Oompies is going to bonus these weapons they picked up. Okay. Oh, no. Take your gun out. Oh, and they died of Spike!
Oh, that is pretty big. The dent that Hugga made and the fact that the other 2 died of Spike, that's going to really hurt Oompies' economy going forward. Like, sure, they still have a full buy, but not a whole lot of an insurance policy after that. Yeah, like no insurance policy after that. Like, look at their economy.
Mm-hmm. So I think that was the best case scenario you could have asked for if you weren't going to try and commit to the 1v3, 1v4 clutch. But again, that means that they've denied what I said would have been a nice 7-7 turnaround. And now Oompies with those weapons in hand has an opportunity again to widen the gap, to extend their lead. And I'm excited to see from Tanax GC what exactly they are going to achieve here, and it's going to be coming off of this 3-stack aggression, where Panday has now recognized that what is the response. It's to accelerate on A and leave Panday to fend for themselves. They can probably handle it. They're aware of Hugga scaling through C. They have the trap wire to pinpoint the timings, and now they should be able to actually escape through C and go for a long-range flat, kind of playing through A.
I mean, the hounds are out. They're trying to chase down Panday right now, but they've left A site completely unguarded. They've left Carry completely unchecked. That's 3 for them.
Oh.
And there we go, Panday, and that is absolutely flawless. I mean, Tenax GC left A site completely unguarded, so the entirety of Oomfies, save for Panday and Carry, walk right up that lane, and the rest just fall right into their hands. It was essentially a 2-person job.
Yeah, it was literally a gamble, and unfortunately it just didn't pay off. And I think it came out of, like you mentioned, Panday being that distractor, and also just indecision, right? Like, alright, Panday's low. That means they are probably on either the C site or the A right now. And they've been able to hear the C scale up from Pillar, from Revolving Door B main. So they should have been able to know that was A and follow through, leave Panday alone, right? After they were able to get away towards Mound. Worry about them later. Worry about your objective. And just, they weren't able to do that in that crunch that you mentioned came through for Carry. But this round, similar aggression over towards B main. But this is the correction I wanted to see. After you get that information, go back towards A. Go back to where you baited that defensive opening.
But again, Panday's going to be unchecked. Going to go on a really, really wide flank there. They show up a little bit late to the party, but that's exactly where Panday likes to be. Supercat is down, so Oomfie's already bleeding out a little bit early on.
Past the Killjoy turret.
Ooh.
Did it see them? I can't tell. It might have, because the rest of the players are starting to rotate over. You mentioned Panday and the lurk potential. Well, now it's drawn the entirety of Oomfies to the C side. They've gotten rid of all that Killjoy utility, but they can challenge now head on with numbers for this retake.
But that is also where the spike is headed. They do take down Panday, which is great, but now they know that the party is about to kick off right at their front door. The plant is actually going to come through. Carry with the pickoff there. It's traded out for Terror. Carry finds another, make it a third. Can't quite get the fourth, though. Wait, no, does get the fourth, actually. A little bit
the
of
ultimate.
Yeah, a little bit of that ultimate towards the tail end there. Now it's just the 1v1. Avery versus Always. Oh, never saw it coming. Avery had the angle, and Oomfies, it was dirty, and at times it looked like Tenax GC had the right responses, but aren't able to execute.
Yeah, that's a nasty wrap around there. And you mentioned it, Carry 4K. Ace denied, but at least solidifying the control that Panday had taken really early into the round. And yeah, the KG turret was in fact asleep there, so that really was just off of intuition, right? It felt like there. Hugga popping the nades, like, wait a minute, C's undefended there. My turret went offline. This could be a gap that they slipped through. So, I mean, we're seeing, again, some, I guess, correct moves, correct reads from Tenax GC. It's just the closing ability from these players on Oomfies is so powerful.
Here comes that aggression from Supercat again, but pinned down now in this corner. But Unfeel taken down. That's going to bolster the confidence there for Supercat. Array, though, has the shots. Needs to hit just a few more, though. Able to take down Carry as well. But it gets traded out. It's really bloody here over on the side of A site, and it is definitely favoring Oomfies. It's now down to Hugga just once again to try and pick up the pieces. And boy, oh boy, there are pieces of your team everywhere.
Planted.
And Hugga 1v3, a similar clutch situation for the Sentinel, but now their position is known because of the reload. I don't expect to see the not dead yet here because both players are swarming them with bullets. Players and Oomfies get their 11. Deny the buy round for Tenax GC. And this is where I would likely want to see their second time out. I'm not going to lie to you. Look at me. That's why. And this is your last real economy cycle, right? This is going to be a save round likely, but you have the overdrive and you have the nightfall. Really important retake tools that if you blow them, then you're not going to have them because Oomfies will be setting on map and series point. Versus, right, if you lose this round, then you still get your buy the following, and then you have to win the 6 rounds in a row to get to overtime. This is really your last opportunity in my mind to get that kind of pep talk or strategic talk in.
I'm curious to what kind of fruit that overdrive is going to bear if that is the tool that they decide to leverage, because like Oomfies, it feels like they've kind of been like water, able to kind of adapt and flow and move wherever it is that the map should take them. You know, they identify that, you know, maybe one site's left unguarded and maybe they don't fully commit to that one, but they probe a little bit and then make a flawless rotation over to the other one. So, I mean, we've seen Array popping that ultimate over and over again, going for far up, taking a bunch of space with it, and Oomfies respecting it. Maybe that's just going to kind of shepherd themselves back over to another site. I mean, Tenax GC, they have to kind of identify that and be able to adapt on the fly, as we've seen, but then again, close it out and execute on that adaptation.
For sure. And I think my concern here is the fact that C-Site right now is left unattended, and now we get to see, okay, the Killjoy is going to split their utility. They may be trying to set themselves up for a potential breach play over towards C to scare these players into the A site, right? You see a breach, you see a stun, you're expecting a neon scaling up beside them, right? So this is all a faux tactic just to push them towards the stack over towards A, but it's not going to work. Oomphy is not playing into it, holding their ground and just waiting for this one way to fade, and then they're probably going to re-clear it because they have a lot of utility that they don't have to worry about here. And now, I mean, that play has not convinced anyone.
Yeah, Oomphy's like they're not gonna make that move yet. They know they don't have to. Meanwhile, Tenax GC, like this indecisiveness has kind of convinced them that maybe it is an A site take, maybe it is a B site take. They're leaving the KJ utility back over at C to do all the heavy lifting for them, and I think it's only a matter of time before Oomphy's just completely bum rush this point while nobody's home, and Tenax GC have to try and make a move, but like they don't see anything, they don't hear anyone, they don't know where anyone's at. They're still in the spawn. They've moved so slow. All right, turret offline now. They now know that it's C. Time for everybody to kick rocks and start heading in that direction, but Spike is already going to be on site and planted by the time they're able to get there. I mean, yeah, Panda is gonna have the trap wire set up. Everything Oomphy's could possibly want is gonna be set up. Cloves, smokes, just about everything under the sun. And yeah, Hugga, where'd all my turrets go? Where'd all my utility go? Who got... Trying to find just about anything, but all they're able to find is a couple of shots through the wall, not actually able to convert any of it to kills. Ray finally able to clean up Terror. There we go. And another one. Not dead yet, though. Gonna have to try and finish that one off for good. Array with another beautiful shot there onto Super Cat and able to get out alive. You lose always. Panda with 2. It's even 2-2. Arthur, the last one alive, might be able to get something to happen here. Panda has no HP left. The shots come out, and there is time for the defuse. Tenax GC have done it.
Ooh, and it was a close one. I got nervous when I saw 2 kills on the kill feed there from Panda, but there it is. Finally, the joint utility efforts of that Nightfall and that late pop of the overdrive will get Tenax GC over the finish line in that fundamental round as we laid it out to be, because it stops them from that kind of surefire 2-0 victory on the side of Oomphies. Like I said, this is a map they've rehearsed, they're confident on, they know. I mean, their initial plan failed, that bait play to try and force him to the stack A. They allow the Killjoy to play off-site, and they just play that 5/5 retake, so it's no harm, no foul, especially because that fault line will regenerate. But speaking of no harm, no foul, again, we get that B kind of spread of players, the standard utility gathering information. And my concern here is how deep the players are going. Deep into A main. The rotation called to the C side actually, when B seems to be the objective here. Supercat, the judge. This is a good and bad thing because the lockdown, I was going to say, is great for the B side, but now you have 6 HP. And there's a judge forcing its way towards you. There's no way.
Yeah, Hugga just going to have to try and hold the door with that Odin, but it's not going to be enough, and the lockdown going to be destroyed, so that ult now tossed over to the wayside. And I mean, everybody now does know, in fact, that it is coming to be B. Oh, there we go. Bye-bye, Array.
Yeah, that flank definitely spotted out. If the trap wire has been destroyed, it's just the trigger for the annihilation, right? And now we get that deadlock utility, which is really, really strong in the post plan, right? The wall, fortunately, Avery is dropped by Always, who over-aggresses through it. And now it's suddenly feasible. A 3v3, but heroics from Terror again. Name a better duo. And Always, right? Such low HP is going to already call for the save.
Yeah, that's a wounded animal if I've ever seen it. Yeah, just get on out. Keep whatever guns you got, whatever utility. Yeah, save that Vandal for a rainy day. I mean, Terror like always seems to have the shots when Oomphies need it most, and like when you have clutch players like Terror and Panda, it doesn't really matter what you're able to get done. Once they're in there, they're gonna have the angles, they're gonna hit the shots, and that's not the kind of thing that you can plan for. You just have to try and outduel them. And so far, like I would say, Array and on occasion Arthur have been the only ones consistently able to do that.
At this point, we'll have to look to those players. And I mean, the thing is, though, right? It's not necessarily that any player is lagging behind on the side of Tenax, right? I mean, look at the kill, like the scoreboard, right? Like they are all within one round of kills for each other. It's just, again, just sometimes the heroic standalone players like Terror, like Carry, are taking care of multiple of these players. And this round, what a shot! the accuracy of the slide coming in tow, but it's effectively traded out, and now Unfeels on an island, right? This is an eco strat. They forced out what they could, and unfortunately it might not be enough. The knife!
That was
Carry without carry in the world! Just 3 kills on for the ace they were denied earlier, and I expect them to look for it.
That was slowed, that was decay, that was suppressed, that was everything. Speaking of suppressing, some suppression fire from Hugga takes down 2, and like you said, yeah, they might have just thrown. I mean, they're on a rotation with the spike heading back over to A site, and Tenax GC are privy to it, but I mean, if this looks like it should have been an Oomphies win, but it might not be if Tenax GC's retake here is good.
Yeah, still a goofy mood going for the ace. We'll see if it keeps Tenax GC alive here. Both players backside. The timing for Terror, though, is good. On the reload, though, there's no swing because Panda, again, is playing for their life, playing for the objective, playing for the spike. But I think it's planted for tree, not for main, so they just have to hope the timing is like this outlaw. And it is 13-7 Oomphies, your #1 seed, 2-0. Decided Tenax GC to punch their ticket to the grand finals.
And at the last possible second, they always had the right idea, but checked the wrong corner, looked the wrong way, and Panda is going to punish you for that every single day of the week. A little bit of life coming out of Tenax GC on Lotus here, but make no mistake, this was dominant for Oomphies all throughout.
Oh, for sure. And we avoid that Ascent Decider, but I really think that map 2 is what I expected from map 1 and from this series overall, right? When we were predicting that, oh, if, you know, we're going to see probably an Oomphies 2-0, but if we see a map 3, it'll be because that map 1 was close, and we would have seen Tenax GC able to take it, because like I said, this team is growing. They've had a stand-up performance in this Radiant Academy in particular, so I definitely think this was just, they took too much time to warm up on map 1, and then maybe they were inside their own head again because of how dominant that victory was. But again, I have confidence for them. Again, they've been growing, right? They went from not qualifying to playoffs, now in playoffs and open qualifiers. And Hugga as well, like I said, was the newest member to this team, right? And they have brought immense promise, and I think they have raised the overall power level of this squad, which is going to be really, really good for them moving forward.
Now, I think once you build up a little bit more of that cohesion and start to build up a little bit more, you are going to get to a level where this team can continue to be a threat. And I mean, making it the top 4 is definitely, throughout the course of this tournament, even like we said, coming in as a lower seed into groups and leveling yourself up, coming through the tournament, making it this far. And, you know, it didn't look too good against the top dogs in this pack, but it's still like getting this far at all is an accomplishment in and of its own and should be indicative of bigger and better things to come from this squad going forward. But speaking of bigger and better things to come, I think Oomphy is just waiting for some bigger and better thing to snack on in grand finals as they just waltzed right on. Still have yet to drop a map. No one has made them bleed yet.
Oh, for sure. I mean, some teams have come close, but I will say I have some information, I think, on the other grand finals, in that it may not have the other semifinals. It has not finished just yet, but Sad Frost did win map #1 of Abyss. So they are currently up here as we, I assume, get to take a look back at the bracket here, and we get to see, yeah, there it is. Oomphies are going to be able to qualify for those grand finals, and we'll get to see if Sad Frost is able to similarly close out 2-0. And I also wonder if Sad Frost, I don't think they've dropped a map either, have they? So
no, Day by Day is the only team so far in this top 4 that has dropped a map. I'm sorry, one of 2. Tenax GC has now dropped 2 maps, unfortunately, which is enough to send them packing. But you know, up until the semifinals, yeah, the only map that any of these teams had lost was Hyperspeed Red taking that map off of Day by Day that we saw yesterday, which to me, like, kind of spoke a little bit to Day by Day's inability to close out series that were in their control, or at least felt like they should have been. And, you know, take nothing away from Hyperspeed Red, they showed themselves to be a fantastic team, but a better team is going to punish that every day of the week. And Sad Frost, I think, you know, if the seeding and the expectations are anything to go by, are that better team. So it's no surprise to me that Day by Day aren't able to get away with the same level of murder that they were yesterday, and they are, in fact, so far getting punished for that mistake. My question for that is, are they going to be able to bounce back and maybe make that another 2-1, keep themselves alive, meet Oomphies in the grand finals, or is your prediction of an Oomphies Sad Frost grand finals going to pan out?
Well, I'm going to try and pull up some notes here, and I will say map #1 of Abyss was the pick of Sad Frost, so if standard Valorant proceedings are are continuing, then I do believe that there's a chance that Day by Day would win their map pick here. Again, I feel like they are the most underdog team when you look at now who remains. I think 10X was maybe the underdog as number 4 seed. So I'm hopeful for them. I really hope that that goes to a map 3, but that also means that we will have a lot of time until the grand finals, but that means that we get to fill the time with more content, all right? I know that we're actually like getting ready and getting set up for an interview with our first grand finalists on the side of Oomfies. Who would you want to interview, CB? I know we probably don't get a choice in it, but who would you want to talk to after what a game we just witnessed?
Realistically, it could be any of them because I feel like the spirit coming out of this team is going to be pretty energetic and pretty high, coming like from anybody on it. I mean, I would have to go with maybe Terror or I'll say 50-50, either Terror or Super Cat, because I want to talk to Super Cat about some of those super aggressive plays.
Well, I'm on the other side. I would want to see Panday or I would want to see Carrie, right? Carrie, that deadlock player. Also a player we could ask them about the Vice picks that we've yet to see and if we would see it in the grand finals. But I think Terry would also be a good pick. You know, one of the newer members to the squad. They also, you know, like you said, put up a standout performance on that series. And, you know, it's always nice to talk with the duelists because they are the star player of the team. But regardless, Oomfies, they are your first grand finalists. And it looks like we are going to be interviewing Terra CB. So you get your wish. So what exactly, since you said a little bit about it, would you want to ask them?
Well, I mean, I can't spoil the surprise right
Aww.
now. I mean, if I ask them right now, then they're going to be prepared for the answers. All right, there's no pre-tests here for these interviews, all right?
There's a delay. What do you mean? They wouldn't see it. There's competitive integrity here.
No pre-tests here. I'm not going to give the answers to the test away for free. But what I am going to do is send us to a quick break so that Tara can study up for this interview and be prepared when we come back. Don't go anywhere, chat. We will be right back. welcome back, class. I hope you all had a wonderful break. I mean, it's over now. It's time to get back to studying, and we have a presentation from one of our star students, one of our first grand finalists. We brought in Terror for an interview.
Hello.
Hello, we get to see your sister's amazing. We were told a hamster, but that doesn't look like a hamster to me.
It's like a rat thing.
Yeah, no, it's amazing either way, but congratulations on the victory. You guys looked very, very confident coming in. What were the vibes like in the server during the games today so far?
Oh, they were amazing. It's been a blast so far.
Amazing.
I mean, you guys have looked pretty dominant pretty much throughout the entirety of the tournament, especially, in the series that we just got to see. I want to open this up with a question. Has there been a moment at all this tournament where you felt like you've had to sweat, like at all? Or has it just been completely clean?
For me personally, last series from yesterday, because I was feeling really tired, and I had to actually, really, really try to do, but it all was fine.
Yeah, 6 or 7 hours of Valorant can be rough. And I think I have my next question goes to just kind of, I feel like what the future of Oomfies is, because I know you are the kind of the newest member to the squad replacing Panday, and Panday plays off in these one events like NRG, Neon Dream Invitational, and the Radiant Academies. Are you guys looking forward to the next open qualifier, and how has it been, after taking that kind of break from NRG, Neon Dream, getting to play back with the squad?
We are gonna play in Open Call 3, and Panda is playing with us because Panini is currently unable to play with us, and I felt miserable with 2 weeks of no practice, honestly.
Oh no. Well, it doesn't show in the server for sure, and I'm loving the synergy, with this 5 right now. Like, I love Panini as well, but this is the cleanest I think you guys have looked in a little while to me.
I really love Panday. Panday's really good.
I gotta be completely honest. I've been watching the live feed of your pet here this entire time, so I only kind of heard the tail end of what you said. But you said you love Panday, and I do kind of want to talk about your team cohesion as a group that's played together a lot, and with Panday there as well. We saw a lot of clutch plays coming up from Panday, and a few coming out from you as well. Do you guys feel like having that cohesion, you have a lot of confidence in each other to make those clutch plays when it comes down to those 1v2, 1v3 situations?
Personally, I feel like we play the best when we just have the freedom to be confident in ourselves and our mid-round decisions, as well as just our gunplay. And we're all really good at that, so I feel like Panday is a great player with us.
Cool, and I think my last question is more of a funny one, but I've seen that Carrie has pulled out the Vice a time or two on Ascent or Lotus. Are we going to see that in the Grand Finals? And can you please convince Carrie to bring it out in the Grand Finals? We want to cast that.
Maybe. I'll see what I can do.
Maybe.
I'll contact my people.
All right. Yes, amazing.
I got one more question as well. Speaking of Grand Finals, as we stand, you guys are in the Grand Finals for sure. There's no doubt about that, but we still have at least a little bit of doubt as to who your opponents are going to be. Actually, no, the bracket just got updated. But before we spoil it, actually, which of the two teams do you want to face between Day by Day and Sad Frost? Who do you think you would have more fun facing off with in the Grands?
Day by Day. I have some friends there.
Ooh.
I've got some bad news for you.
I know.
I've got some bad news. I agreed with that, but I just refreshed the battle fight, and I don't think it's gonna be them.
Yeah, so with that, right, your opponents are going to be Sad Frost versus Oomfies in the Grand Finals. Tara, thank you so much for the interview. We want to make sure you have time to talk with your teams and prep now that you know who your opponent is going to be. So thank you, and we'll see you in the Grand Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wasn't planning on dropping that bad news, just so rapid. I was going to, honestly, what I was going to do was going to be like, as it stands, we're currently at 1-0 with Sad Frost in the lead, give like a score update. But I didn't realize that the score was set in stone.
Update.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was going to be 2-0. Like, there was still a chance for Day by Day to even it up, or maybe the second map hadn't finished yet, but nope, it's done. It's dusted. We do now know that it will be Oomfies versus Sad Frost in the grand finals, which I think is good. I think we are getting all 4 of our top seeded teams a little bit of camera time here. We are going to get to see what Sad Frost is made of, and maybe get to see more of that cohesion coming out of Oomfies. I shouldn't even say maybe,
sure.
like definitely we will.
Yeah, and I will say Sad Frost was like almost as dominant as Oomfies was. Like, yes, there was no 13-0, but it was like collectively very close in rounds, right? Only dropping 11 rounds, a 13-6 and a 13-5 for that 2-over day by day. So I think they're also coming in hot, coming in warm, and I think we are truly going to have a game on our hands, CB. But we got to get that game prepared, right? So we are going to throw to a quick break, but when we come back, the final section of the final exam, and we'll get to tally the scores, count up the GPAs, and see who will be crowned your valedictorian or your victors of Radiant Academy 104. Stick around.
Pencils down, textbooks closed, the study session is over. It is time to put up or shut up. The final exam, the grand finals for Radiant Academy 104 is upon us. And in this really weird rendition of a classroom, only one student actually gets to graduate.
Well, 5 students. It's a very small graduating class, but yes, to turn your cell phones in, but turn your PCs on, because we are getting into the server and getting into our grand finals between Oomfies and Sad Frost. They have battled through that kind of round of 16 playoffs. That was single elimination, if we want to take a look at that bracket to see all of the teams that have been left in their wake and left to repeat a year in the Radiant Academy. But otherwise, I mean, both of these teams, right? We've said it, you've said it, they have not dropped a map, and that is going to end in the grand finals. One of these teams is going to fail the test.
Yeah, I mean, Sad Frost, that was our number 3 seed against Day by Day, the number 2 seed coming into the bracket here. A 2-0 against a seed above you is definitely nothing to scoff at. Sad Frost, I would definitely be, if I'm Oomfies, I'd definitely eyeballing them and saying, like, no, we can't be trying to pull the same stuff we pulled against Tenax GC in the previous round. I don't think that's going to fly with how quickly they dispatched Day by Day. We did talk about having a failure or an inability to close out rounds that were in their control. My guess is based on this scoreline, it was never fully under Day by Day's control to begin with, which is even bigger of a problem. And if you're Oomfies, you're definitely not going to want to let Sad Frost get a grip on this matchup. You want to give them the respect they deserve, sure, but you still have to come out swinging.
No, for sure. And again, like, yes, it's a 1 versus a 3 seed, so by seeding you expect Oomfies to win, but I do really think that this is going to be a very, very competitive game, namely because some of the players that are on the side of Sad Frost, like Australis, like Kausushi, are on teams that have given Oomfies a run for their money. And so even though this squad may be players that are shifting, or that the roster may change going into open qualifier number 3 for Sad Frost, I think what they have now has a really good shot at giving, like I said, putting up a fight against Doomfies, making them, you know, have to rethink, dive into their notes and be like, wait, did I learn that?
Yeah, with some subs and with, you know, this being the last ride for this current iteration of Sad Frost, as like you alluded to, some of the other members of that team have found some other opportunities elsewhere. You know, if you're gonna go out, you go out with a bang and you fire that bang right across the across the bow of the top dogs. I was in the Navy, I should have made that mistake. You fire that shot right across the bow of the top dogs in Oomfies, and you make them hurt for it.
Oh, for sure. And I know that Kausushi specifically on Teddy Tactics, like, they were looking for a pug squad. They were looking to play and prove themselves in this Radiant Academy. And they have come nuts to play around when it comes to graduation day. And speaking of graduation, they just graduated, right? They are starting college, like, they just started college. Like, they just moved into college. So it's very fitting, I feel like, for them if they are, in fact, going to be the victors here today. But like we said, they got to get past Oomfies, and they got to get past these 3 maps that we have for this best of 3 closeout of the grand finals. And drumroll, please, CB, what content is going to be on this test, and what should I study for?
Well, it is going to be the order of operations, not the not PEMDAS, not that one. It's actually going to be the order of operations is going to be BHA, and the A doesn't stand for Abyss, it stands for Ascent, actually. Bind, Haven, and Ascent are going to be our classrooms of choice for this grand finals, kicking things off first on Bind, which is Sad Frost's map pick.
And I feel like what we're seeing right here is, number one, yes, it gives again the opportunity for Oomfies' opponent to kick themselves off on the right foot, but also shows how well-rounded Oomfies is, right? They're comfortable playing really all of the maps in this pool, other than Icebox, which now we get to see is their kind of insta-ban. Versus Lotus, we just saw from Oomfies, Sad Frost also doesn't want to go there, doesn't want to maybe toy with the idea of that Vice.
I also think if you watch the previous match, which I don't think they did because they were busy playing, but it definitely a great idea to say, no, we are not going against Oomfies on Lotus. We just watched them just rip and tear another team apart on that and leave no scraps.
Yeah, and I think the thing to point out here is, like we begged them in that interview, if we make it to Ascent, we may see the Vice. So I'm hoping for a 3 map right here. I'm not gonna lie, see, but Bind and Haven also, Oomfies have some tricks up their sleeve, right? We're gonna get to see probably a Yoru. We're probably gonna get to see your ISO that you've been really wanting to see, that ISO Yoru. Yeah, Oomfies plays that on Haven, so you're gonna get your wish from Ascension from 2G. But for the side of Sad Frost, right, Kausushi on that initiator role, stepping in, subbing in, but the rest of them kind of still going back to these compositions they've been playing consistency in Tenax series, in Game Changers Open qualifiers. So you might see some something a little bit more traditional, other than on Bind, where you might see the Australis Chamber, which I'm going to tell you, the first time I saw that, I was quaking. It is to be feared. In their semifinals, or sorry, in their quarterfinals, they went 28-16 on this agent.
You keep alluding to that that Vice comp that you really, really want to see. I think you're addicted to the idea that Vice is
agents,
literally
come on.
your Vice right now. Okay, you're really hoping to see that one. Like I said, I'm also kind of hoping to see one of the teams in this tournament bust out that Yoru ISO composition. So looking forward to Haven, which isn't the decider. So we will get to see Haven regardless of whether or not Sad Frost come out swinging on Bind when we kick things off here. But I'm not even sure entirely what to expect. The only thing that I can safely say is that after the performance that we just saw, it's hard for me to put my chips down anywhere but on the Oomphy side of the table.
I mean, I'm going to be carrying the Copium, I think, because, like I said, they were very dominant in their semifinals against a higher seed, so their confidence is at an all-time high for Sad Frost. Also, one of those two maps was Haven, which was a 13-5 victory. All right, so they know how their composition functions on Haven. It's a big question, right, if they can overcome that ISO Yoru or not. And then for Bind as well, like I said, it is hard to sometimes play against Australis in that chamber, so if they can also pinpoint that, it'll be really, really beneficial. Also, I will say that for Bind, it's one of those maps where you can get away without a Sentinel, obviously Chamber being a Sentinel, but for the side of they run, at least the one time they played it in the group stage, a Clove, Viper, Yoru, Sky, Raze. Now this scares me because, again, it leaves your flank open, vulnerable, because you don't have a Sentinel to watch behind you, but like I said, it's only been run once, so they could throw in a full new setup. So with that, we're going to jump into Agent Select for Bind, and let's see what's in store.
This is always my favorite part of the show. We get to see if your predictions come
Thank
true,
you.
and
I thought it was going to change. I thought it was going to change, okay?
Well, so far, I regret to inform you, we don't see any Vice just yet, so still saving that for later, but I am seeing a fair bit of, I'm seeing Australis on that chamber, like you alluded to. That's definitely correct. I'm seeing a Raze on both sides. Supercat, again, on that Raze. We saw how dominant they could be on this agent. Whether they get caught out or not, the rest of Oomphy's composition looking pretty interesting, too.
No, for sure. And they pick up that Sentinel. I think my only concern here with this composition is very, very defense-sided. And don't get me wrong, like, their sheer fragging and their confidence in swings, I think, is what's going to propel them on the attack half versus, the opposing side where, yeah, you're going to have, I would say the Brim and the Stim. You're going to have that Chamber that can take a fight and rendezvous out without much tradability or danger. And I think that this hard lean of, I guess, away from the aggro-aggressive comp of the Yoru Raze Clove is going to be interesting because I think there's definitely more stability with an Astra pick. It strengthens their post plan, and then also, like I mentioned, that Cypher pick means that their flank isn't going to be vulnerable like it would be if it was that old composition they ran.
Waiting for the last couple to lock in. There we go. Stay. You're good. All right, Australis. You will be docked if you are tardy, Australis. We will be marking your grade down if you. There we go. All right, just in time. Saved by the bell. Now we can kick things off on Bind. Here we go. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it is going to be Sad Frost on the attack initially.
Yes, and that will be the same case for Haven. And then, for the grand conclusion, if we make it to map 3, it will be a little swap ski-doodle. But regardless, we have to get through the first section of these grand finals here, and that is going to be Bind, where again I think where we're starting off is pretty much the half that fits both of these teams very, very adequately, right? I mentioned to you how strong that Astra is as a solo kind of, I guess, a pseudo sentinel to say, because just their ability is really, really good at anchoring down sites, and Carry is also very good at anchoring down sites. We saw their performance right over on the Deadlock, and I think that this is going to be right up their alley in terms of also having to frag off of their utility in order for it to have a full impact.
Here we go. Pistols all out. A little bit of light armor coming out from the side of Sad Frost. So maybe want to play things a little bit slow, a little steady, a little safe, not go too aggressive. Meanwhile, I mean, it's looking pretty aggressive from the side of Oomphy. So I'm expecting them to go swiftly, make a big move, make a big play, and punish a little bit of aggression. Early flash coming out from the side of Sad Frost. Not gonna be followed up on. Supercat, I mean, this is so characteristic of Supercat to already have this really aggressive angle, be pushed this far up on the Raze, getting pressured back just a little bit, but not, like, bending, but not breaking.
U-Haul. They're going to be their domain here early on, but what's interesting here is Sad Frost really just going for defaults, trying to bait out information, figure out where these players are. They spotted the Raze, but Now they need to know, all right, can this Trailblazer find anything on the B site? And we get to see the lethality, hopefully, of this Cypher composition, a really deep spy cam. I'm going to have to ask them to teach me that. But I'm also worried here for the Viper, right? Namely because they need to stay alive. That Viper wall over towards Garden is pivotal. And instead, they're just going to cycle it with Astro utility here. So this is smart, but still that vulnerability unrivaled here. And I think they've realized there may be more players over towards B, so Spike still hesitant. And they're waiting for an opening, a frag, and Australis found that on A, so Spike is going to head back that way, and so is the teleport.
And so are the rest of Oomfies as well. Supercat going to take down Australis, and maybe going into A isn't going to be as cut and dry as you wanted it to be. Kalsushi with the big pickoff there onto Supercat. Great trade, but Carry coming in through the smoke, knows the plant is coming, just waiting to pick their spot, and there we go. It's traded out again, but does deny the plant, slows the roll of Sad Frost. They do inevitably get it down, and they have the man advantage as well. It's Panday and it's Avery coming through late to the party again. Had to make that rotation over from B site, but Panday has the angle. We know how clutch they can be. Time and time again, Avery takes down, 3 down, and now it's just that one last lonely Raze trying to go back in. Stay going to fall, and the retake and the defuse from Oomfies successful. Pistol round goes the way of the top dogs.
And in the great words of Terra, that Panday is great. They can definitely trust them to go clutch out and play that disadvantaged retake here. And like you said, it looked really, really clean for Sad Frost, right? The decision-making, the frag found by Australis, and the immediate rotation back over with the spike to that site, where they were able to solidify the plant, even if there were some complications, some delays from Oomfies. But the closeout, the sheer clutch potential from Oomfies gets their pistol and gets their buy. Now, there's no Vandals or anything here. I think this is showing the increased respect they have for the squad that is Sad Frost. And we'll get to see now kind of what that looks like, right? I think we saw one sniper rifle, but then it's mostly Spectres, maybe one Guardian or Bulldog. And let's see, Terror! Ooh!
Yeah, takes out the counterpart there. Great shot to open things up, and I think they're going to think twice about trying to just walk right up. No, they're still going to walk up, be long here. Take up a little bit of real estate around some of these corners, but Terror still has the angle and Stay not giving it nearly enough respect, and neither is Australis. Sooner or later, Sad Frost have to learn their lesson, but it seems as though they are not going to in time, and this Brimstone, just you and the Spike, my boy, you're not getting out of there alive. Kalsushi going to fall. Panday comes through with the cleanup. Terror falls towards the tail end of it, but, I mean, that's really all you get. The only thing standing between you and a flawless round.
Yeah, they said they were feeling great, and those, Marshall shots are definitely proven it there. And I mean, the only silver lining there is those light shields or lack of shields actually shows that, they were truly investing for this third round, and that mostly having full shields minus Kalshusi and Stay. And so now we get to see, hopefully, a good round, and Sad Frost able to convert. But I love, again, how heavy the stack is on B because of the confidence of the retake on A, and also the confidence in carry with this Astro utility to anchor down that site. Because typically you see like one player, maybe two over towards the B site, right? And it's A that's harder to hold, so they stack it. But this is an interesting strategy for Moonfies, and we'll see if it pans out this round, where they've gotten the gamble correct, almost.
Well, they're going to take out the Cypher camera. They know the Viper is there, but they're not quite sure where. They didn't know exactly how close the threat is, or the fact that it's now right at their doorstep. Stay gets taken down there pretty swiftly, and that was on a disengage. So, I mean, Sad Frost know now that there is a respectable force over at B site, even as they start to make their rotation with the spike back over to A, but they're going to run into a lot more problems, as you can still just leave that Cypher-Viper combo behind, and you got Supercat to worry about, again, on this really aggressive angle that they love to play on. Australis trying to find a way in. Gonna deal with the double right now against Terror. Finds the shots, but Terrors are just a little bit better, and Australis is down. And Oomfies still have yet to bleed. So another one onto Kalsushi. Terror finally gonna get punished for it, but Carry cleans that one up, and it's looking pretty much all over but the crying right now for Oomfies.
Oh, and the fact that they're that flawlessly able to get that round underway and then loot the weapons off of Sad Frost is devastating here yet again. And I think, again, it falls back to what I said about the confidence in these early round stacks and how fluid they are in the rotations. And the fact that they're able to clothesline that A take is just super impressive with the defense. But silver lining, as I mentioned beforehand, when I look at this comp, I see defenses from Oomfies. And it's that second half I think we're going to see struggles on from that squad. So Sad Frost, in my mind, I think I want to see like 4 or 5 rounds out of them. And while that's been disrupted for now, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. This round, though, just eco strat, run off, scale off of this wall. And hopefully the Bucky can find a frag because, yeah, Super Cat was a little bit overconfident.
Sure does. It sure does find the frag. You get the upgrade onto the Vandal as well. And there was, by the way, also, I believe, an Outlaw that came out from Kalsushi as well. Maybe seeing if they can find anything with that one. But Stay gonna pick that Vandal up and drop it right back where they found it. Pande now picking that one up, donating that one back over to the cause. And we're even at 4-0, so we have at least struck blood for the side of Sad Frost, but it hasn't been bloodless for yourselves as well, as the spike does indeed go down. But I mean, Pande, the retake expert, every single time knows exactly where it's going to be, knows exactly where to walk in, and it's just going to be waiting to pick their spot.
And it's going to be the Seekers as well. The heroics are early on from Terror to fuel this retake, right? Those worst weapons now start to rear their ugly head for Sad Frost, where even the Bucky up close on the spike isn't enough. Carry a 3-piece, the Viper Orb here from Avery, all just aiding in them getting on the spike, while the bodyguards, the defenders, Terra and Pande take care of business. Oomfies continue their flawless tie rate here over Sad Frost so far to kick off the grand finals.
And Terra was on 5 HP there at the end, by the way. Nearly fell, and that could have made a huge difference if Sad Frost would have been able to confirm that kill, but unable to do so. And again, unable to deal with Pande, who is so good at coming in at the right possible second to get the exact shots that they need. Hasn't died at all yet, by the way, and for that matter, neither has Avery.
Yeah, and I think this is something we haven't really mentioned is like the IGL, who's shot calling. And Pande, you know, when they are playing, are typically heavier on the calling, right? They have a lot of creative ideas, or like you mentioned, they might just be able to pinpoint exactly how that retake has to unfold. And it was just so cohesive and a true unit rolling through Sad Frost. But speaking of rolling through, finally Sad Frost have realized that, okay, this tight hold on A isn't as tight as they thought it was, right? Because of, as I mentioned, there's only 2 players here, and instead it's Oomfies playing off the quick rotation of Terror, off of the quick retake style that they like to ensue with.
Sad Frost have taken up residency over on A site. Carry lurking in the showers, trying to make the rotation, but Kalsushi gonna catch that one, make it a little bit easier for them to get the spike down. But once again, you're gonna have to worry about Pande coming back in from B site alongside Avery, and Terror has this angle up here from Heaven. Coke's actually gonna take that one down. Privy to that one. Here we go. Ult's coming out. 2 coming out from Avery. That's really gonna put a dent in things for Sad Frost. It's evened up 3-3. Super Cat takes down Kalsushi, and I mean, Kalsushi was really low HP. That was essentially just some stray bullets that ended up dealing that one down. Super Cat gonna fall, though. Again, traded back and forth. Astralis trying to find something, but the defuse comes through. Pande utilizing the cage, and even though the kills come through, it's too little too late for Sad Frost.
And again, we get a timeout when the dominance ensues for Oomfies. The Sad Frost coach who's stepping in to get a word or 2 out, because yeah, that round was even, I feel like, further off than the eco round they had prior, right, where they were getting control over site and were able to at least try and challenge when the smoke was up on the bomb. And Oomfies, right, they only feel like after the Seekers have been invested that they're charging up some of these ultimates for the retake, right? And what you're going to see likely as well for this Viper's Pit is they'll pop it on the B side as kind of an anchor point so that they can more heavily stack A, which, as I mentioned right now, Sad Frost had identified as a defensive weak point, and I think correctly so, because we've seen it now. Super Cat not as confident to take those grand stands, to take those engagements, because if they lose them, it is Carry left on an island.
I mean, it's kind of Super Cat's MO to just kind of hold near that A cubby, that A teleporter side, and let the fight come to them. And it's definitely slowed Sad Frost down. But again, yeah, they know that that is kind of the easier way to get in than trying to take the fight against Pande and Avery over on B site. Like you said, with the Viper's Pit as well, it's only going to make it all that much more difficult. So I think the question for Sad Frost is, like, what do you change? And that's what they're trying to address in this timeout that has now expired. Now we are just back in the buy phase, and you don't have a whole lot of buying power right now, so you got to try and make something stick with what little you got right now, or just donate this round over and go next.
And this looks like a tech pause if I've ever seen one. The messages in chat, the paused timer. I mean, better that it's coming out of a timeout, right? So then you get both that strategic break where you get to talk with your team, and then you just get a time to internalize it, think through it, re-ground yourself, do some meditation, you know, and then get right back into the action because it was really a very short tech pause. So we get to see, hopefully, like we mentioned, some of those adjustments Sad Frost is going to make at the timeout. And I think what I said about the A side and I'm identifying that as a weakness is true, but Supercat has changed their mentality. They're back to their confident ways. They're back to their swings.
It is a mistake to assume that Supercat is a weakness, and I mean that's a mistake that Sad Frost hopefully won't make again. Sure, they are going to again take up some of that real estate on A site, but it's not for free. They're going to lose Cokes as well, and Supercat hasn't been dealt with. The shots coming out, I mean Astrala's going to get cleaned up there off a lot of damage that came out from Supercat, and even though they fall, the damage has been done, and this is not at all a clean take. Sad Frost going to fall again, trying to get in on A site. Oomfies are looking clean.
And right now, I just made this pun. This is an ouchie, or should I say an oomphy right now, because it's, yeah, like, oof, because it's a 6-0 here on Sad Frost map pick, right? This is like the similar, I guess, just oomphy strategy, of break them down on their map pick and show them who's boss. And, I mean, the only silver lining here is that Sad Frost, right? They have weapons. They have the Tour de Force. Like I said, I put Australis on this pedestal, and you're gonna see why. And they also have other ultimates to help take a site like the Showstopper and Seekers, and then one to hold the site, which is this pit. So they cannot win this round. I don't know what hope there is for them. At least when they use all the ultimates, I should say. Because if someone gets picked off early, then obviously it's different.
Well, they are once again trying to take this B site, but I mean, this time they have to try and commit to it, I think. They can't keep making that same mistake where they tuck their tail and run and try and dip back to A. Astralis tries to take the shot, but can't confirm the kill onto Supercat, so has to dip on out. And, you know, Supercat understands that. It means an opportunity to push up even further and be even more aggressive. And just as I say that, gonna tiptoe slowly back up and wait to spring the trap again if anybody dares step into their thrall. And it is 3 down. Inching ever so close to it. We're going to see if that ends up happening at all. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Stay trying to break through. Knows this trap wire is likely here and is going to be trying to find a way past it right now, but it slowed everything down to a screeching halt.
Wait. I love this though. The Seekers use a fake onto the A site, which is where the stack is. But then you mentioned it, right? The domain that is the Cypher utility. And Panda can try to adequately challenge it. And they also don't have anybody clearing out Hookah, right? So now Avery's also going to be a threat if you don't clear them out here from Hookah. And that seems to be the exact mistake that they're going to make. Yes, Panda's been dealt with, but they get a frag. And now the rest of the team is immediately flooding back in. All 4 players here for Oomfies are ready and rearing to go, and Kalsushi just avoiding all of it. What a great flash!
Oh, and what a great position from Kalsushi. Takes down 2, both Terror and that Viper from Avery. And I mean, that's the 2 holdouts that hadn't yet been killed. Kalsushi gonna put those up on the trophy wall, but needs to find a little bit more. Doesn't know that Supercat is right next door, and there we go. Knock, knock. Who's there? Not so friendly neighbor Supercat coming in. Sad Frost still have the numbers advantage and have the spike down, but their numbers have thinned. They are starting to dwindle, but is there enough time?
No.
It's starting to sound like there's not going to be. Supercat takes down 1, gonna get traded out, and there is nothing left that you can do. Carrie, yeah. Carrie decided that this was not their party. They're gonna go ahead and make an Irish goodbye and save.
Yeah, but Carrie, what's funny is, like I said, they have global utility on this Astro, so they were trying to support the retake for the rest of their team, right? Notably, I think that stun that accidentally collected onto Supercat while they were taking the fight against Katsushi, that accidentally came from Carrie. But still, I think the frags they were able to find, and I think Oomfies understood they weren't going to win that round, but they were just looking for economic damage, right? Because Sad Frost was nowhere out of the woods just yet. Australis a little bit richer just because they had that ultimate, but still, you lose this round, and either side is not going to be great. Loser's bonus obviously carrying Sad Frost right now, 6-1. They avoid the 13-0 that Nax GC wasn't spared on their map pick, but let's see if they can now funnel that into more rounds.
I do like the idea of the Astra trying to support the party from afar. Yeah, my homie's not at the function, but you know they're here in spirit, and that's all that really counts. And meanwhile, once again, Sad Frost are here on B side, at least in spirit. But Panda has changed up some of these camera angles as well. Stay is privy to it, gonna go ahead and take that one out. But now the jig is up. We know that Sad Frost want to try and go for a retake here on B, or do they? Because they haven't fully committed. They're able to rotate through this mid angle over towards A. whereas the stack has shifted over towards B. The trade does come out, but I think at this point in time, it does favor Sad Frost because they are able to take the initiative and walk right into Super Cat. If they're able to deal with this threat, they should be able to get the plant, but oh, too slow. They slow down and Super Cat catches them out. Again, it gets traded out, but that's, I mean, you can't be losing people on that initiation there.
Yeah, that's again just Super Cat gambling, playing with fire there, and unfortunately this time they get burned. Now the utility from Carry doesn't stop the plant, no grab while success here, but it does mean that Coax is alone on site. So they've set up Panday for a nice 1v1 or for a 1v1 themselves since they get that overextension past the box, wary of who may have been lurking inside of U-Haul. Now, Australis contact has been made, and Panday just the defender here. They know now where 3 down is. These last 2 players are going to hold off of the smoke. Carry not wanting to swing the direct angle. They understand also the utility, but it doesn't matter. Disrespect for the snake bite, the stick all the way through, and Panday again, the teammates side, is able to get Oompies to bounce right back.
Wasn't so much of a clutch from Panday that time, at least,
Yeah.
but, you know, it does get the defuse, so can at least pretend, but it was definitely the angle that came out there from Panday and Carry. The teamwork, again, from Oompies showing up in force, and again, like, I did like the rotation from Sad Frost, but losing members to Super Cat there, just trying to get even into A site at all, it just wasn't the move. And speaking of moves, Panday has now shifted over to A site.
Ooh, and I like this because as I mentioned beforehand, Sad Frost, like with those rotations, with these inclinations, have been leaning just historically towards A because it is the easier site for them to get a plant down on. So they might not be as thorough with their utility usage, with their clearances, and run into these Cypher trap wires, into these tricks that Panday has set up. For now, though, it's some utility usage, unfortunately not going to destroy any trap wires, and as a result, it's just a funnel in.
Ooh, there we go. A little bit of utility coming out, but Carry takes down 2. It ends up being traded out evenly. Super Cat finds Australis there, and what looked like it was initially really good for Sad Frost is now gone disastrous. And yeah, Coke's gonna fall as well. 3 down again, just 1 versus 3. I mean, was able to find a couple of shots last time, but I mean, without spike control and without the angles and with Super Cat on the prowl, you're not gonna find much of anything but an early grave.
And Oompies at this point have solidified a nice dominant lead. And what did I say? I said I wanted 4 to 5 rounds from Sad Frost before the sides swapped, and that's about to slip out of the realm of possibility, right? They have to win the next 3 rounds in a row, and that would get kicked off by a Thrifty.
You're lucky if we get 4. You're like...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's very not likely, but I'm still hoping, right? Because we saw so many Thrifties, right, yesterday, and then we've seen, like, none today. It's, like, truly night and day here. And it's, and both in terms of how competitive it is, and in terms of, like I said, just the standard flow of Valorant economy. I mean, I can't even say standard because you don't historically win 6 rounds in a row, 8 rounds in a row, 13 rounds in a row, like Oompies has. That makes it really, really difficult to get buys together, to escape this, you know, treacherous cycle.
We are on another quick tech pause. The timer frozen at 5 seconds and stay up until just that very moment was completely frozen in place here. So Sad Frost, I mean, they still have to try to take a minute to like reassess and see what they're going to do. Like they're postured again to try and at least probe initially for A site, but Oompies have made the adjustment. They're having Panday over there as well so they can get the intel on Sad Frost initiation, and they've switched it over to where now they have that Astra over on B site because they don't need to have the exact same level of support there. Like you said, you know, the Astra can support from afar, so you don't necessarily need them to be at the function, just there in spirit as we finally get back into it.
And again, very short tech pauses, like you said, just making sure everybody's PC's at optimal health, because health is important when taking exams. And so far, Oompies, right, has sailed through it, has been speeding through it. They're checking over their answers. They're trying to close out this half of the test strongly, and Carrie's gonna do just that, the clothesline, and they're on par for an ace now. Panday gonna steal it away, shut down Australis, that fragging chamber that I mentioned, and now 3 down with a deagle and a dream, 1v3.
Yep, and that's about what is to be expected there. 3 down, again, caught in that same corner, lost alone, naked and afraid, has no one to call for help to. No backup, no friends, no nothing, just Panday
No
looming.
cheat sheet.
No cheat sheet either. They got nothing. They just know that Panday's coming. It's a looming threat that is inevitably going to be their demise. And I mean, speaking of demise, like I'm having a look at not just the economy, but the ultimates on the side of Oomphy. They've used the Viper's Pit, but everything else, they've been diamond hands on this whole time.
We've seen how smooth Terra is with that retake off the Seekers, and I expect Supercat to go explosively in as well, but they look like they're also playing super aggro here over towards Long, Snakebite, the Decay. Also, it's a meat grinder here in Garden. Panday, that backside anchor in case this front falls. Because yes, this is a 3v3, but now they have their own utility to capitalize off a full stun, a 1-for-1 trade. This is going to be a 2v2 as the dust settles. But look at how low HP Cokes is here. And there's still that Showstopper and that Cosmic Divide in the mix. Like, this is... Whew.
And like, they weren't able to actually get the spike down yet, and now they know, like, Oomphies know that it's what's coming down. The spike is now being planted, and you have a pincer coming out with a showstopper from Supercat, just like you said. And, I mean, can they predict this? Do they know that this is coming? Supercat has to let it rip. The fuse was nearly gone. It's not going to find nearly enough. And you talked about low HP. Carry very low HP, and now Supercat, without a rocket launcher to their name, has just this grenade. Gotta try and go for the defuse and hope that that grenade was enough to slow them down. Maybe try and find the finish off. Takes down Astralis. Low HP, 11 HP. The clutch comes out. Supercat able to do it.
Yeah. I liked the decision to fight into CT with one person for the side of Sad Frost. I didn't like both players fighting there, but as soon as they got that information, Supercat has so much just hurting utility, right? From that Showstopper to then that Pain Shell, so that they can get on this spike. And then also, it really wasn't planted in the most optimal position. Like, yes, it was wall-bangable, but that's such a steep angle that it was not connecting on Supercat. So they get it to half, they win out the fight against Australis, and then Cokes, like we said, was such low HP from the get-go after that spike had been planted, after the Seekers had been popped. It's now 10-1, already double digits for Oomphies. One round left in the half, and Sad Frost pulling out all of the stops toward force. But so is pulling out all the stops is Supercat.
Pulling out all the stops? No, they're getting stopped. Astralis with a great pick off there, but I mean, like, you've already lost 2, and the round's barely even started. Yeah, I don't know about pulling out all the stops. It's probably time to make a couple more plays there. That's another big one. Astralis stops Supercat from the teleport play there. Huge shot that comes out, and A site is looking pretty open right now, and the rest of Oomphies have piled themselves up onto B. They know that that is, in fact, where the likely threat is going to be coming, but you did leave your Astra behind over at A site. So once again, they're in spirit and there to help Astralis with a third as Cokes falls. But it might be time to head for the hills. Start to head on in there and get yourself involved in the fight before Astralis finds another one with that tour de force. It's all gone. It's all done. But Kalsushi and Astralis, they've taken up residency and they should be able to get the spike down here before Terror is able to have anything to say about it.
Well, there's a wall-bangable Radiant box, so I don't know about that. And Australis now sandwiched. They don't have information. They're on par for the ace clutch. But again, Carrie, they have zero info about where she is coming from. And back turn, they're going to know to head back to the A site.
Yeah, Astralis does get out, but didn't see Carrie. Carrie saw them. You can go for the plant, sure, but, I mean, yeah, Carrie's already just about there. Is going to know this is coming. Yep, spike down. Knows exactly where to come in. And now it's just this little game of cat and mouse, and Astralis is not looking in the correct direction at all.
But they've got the timing. I mean, they've gotten wrapped around. I thought Carrie was going to be, because of that early rotation, going to catch them with their back turn. So now they're in a really good spot. Just hold the angle, wait for the tap. Unfortunately, Carrie, instead, taking the proactive choice, not clearing things out, knows that they can play for that swing. And instead, they're going to walk right up on them.
Oh, come on. No. You can't. No. Come on. That's just mean.
Oh my god! And they were so confident the 50-50 doesn't go their way. They lose the ace clutch, they lose the glory, they lose the hope of the 10-2 half, and that means Oomphies 11-1. They win the pistol and this game is over. Map 1 is over.
I mean, yeah, just like you said, I mean, it's all up to this pistol around here, and that was so winnable for Astralis. Like, had Astralis been able to get that ace, and it would have been a different story, you know, 11-2, still, or sorry, 10-2, still a very difficult hill to climb, but, you know,
you at least get a comfortability, like some room for error.
Yeah, you at least have that, like, that one little bit extra mistake that you can make. Like, they need to be nearly perfect from here on out, especially on this pistol round and the round that's going to immediately follow. They have to build up an economy, and Astralis, I think, has to learn to check all of the corners and can't just tunnel vision on one spot at a time. Sure, every now and then the members of Oompies are going to funnel down that one lane, but what happens when they come from a different, unexpected lane? They never saw Super Cat coming, that's for sure, as Stay is going to get taken down really early on, and this pistol round is not off to a good start at all. Oompies, though, are making some serious tracks, heading straight into A site. Meanwhile, Super Cat just the distraction over on the other side.
Oh, and we are getting some glitchiness because of how strong Oompies has been, right? Still with an advantage, still looking to close out this pistol, and the glitches might just save them from that embarrassment. A 4K map point for Oompies already. It might not be a 13-0, but they're one round away from 13-1 to steal away Sad Frost map pick. And I wanna make sure that I'm giving Sad Frost the love they deserve there, and especially Astralis after getting knifed in the back, because 9 out of 10 players there would not have started clearing out every single nook and cranny in that situation. They would have tapped the spike. They would have tried to bait out the swing from Astralis, exactly like Astralis was predicting, so that you don't have to clear at all those angles. You can just set them up to take the swing. And regardless, that is just nutty.
Well, not as nutty as this scoreline is about to be if Sad Frost aren't able to make something happen here, but you're riding this high. Like a 4K for Super Cat in the past round means that once again Super Cat can be back up to their old tricks with a Stinger playing this far up, this aggressive. It is going to get checked, and Oompies are currently herded into this corner, but that's never stopped them before. Terra with a shot there on to Stay, already taken one down, and I mean, like, if you're Sad Frost, you're just wondering, what do you do? Where do you go? Who do you even call for help at this point in time? You take down Avery. That's a pretty good start. Kalsushi able to find that pickoff there, but it's once again come to a screeching halt, and Oompies, they've taken the spike back to B, and now they're bringing it back to A again, a double bait.
Yeah, I mean, you had that snake bite come out, so you know the Viper never left the B site, and now you know you can gain this deeper site control that was lacking when Sad Frost had stacked it. And I talked to you, Sabi, about the fact that when everything is desperate, you buy the Stingers, and that's exactly what Sad Frost is using, leveraging, trying to convert this round to keep themselves alive here on Bind. But again, Spike now down. They have a Judge pushed up on one of the major choke points, the major re-entry points. This is not looking good.
It's looking like a wood chipper, and yeah, looking like a nice, healthy Redwood is 3 down right there. Yeah, Kalsushi finds a kill there. Super Cat with another 2, though, to their name, and it's over. That last shot there onto Astralis, I mean, it got a little bit glitchy and a little bit hard to follow. That was some tech issues, but it was no glitch, that performance coming up from Super Cat towards the tail end there, but you know, all the credit in the world to them. They were set up for success from the get-go. It definitely felt like Sad Frost did not study for this exam.
Yeah, #1 seed for a reason, right? And I mean, even with them pulling out a different composition, I said it, I was expecting the composition of Oompies to struggle on the second half. Well, guess what? We didn't need to see a second half. So I don't know if maybe that was, sometimes teams will just go for that, I guess, sided crutch, where they pick a composition that's really good on one half and really, I guess, falls flat on the second half. But if they get enough rounds in that first half, it doesn't matter. And I'll say 11-1 is more than enough rounds, CB.
And it kind of rings pretty close to what we saw from them in the previous series, right? Where they just kind of walk away with the first map. They have the series in their control. They're playing with house money at this point in time. So for map 2, I mean, by the way, map 1, Bind, that was Sad Frost map pick. It's same as before, you know? It was the lower seeds map pick in the previous series as well. Doesn't matter for Oompies. They just walk right over it like it's nothing. Walk into their house, kick their feet up on the table, claim it as their own, and now it's again. Like, what do you do? Well, you know, what do you do? You're now walking into their house, their domain, their map for this next one, and you have to make an adjustment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're getting into map 2 after the break, which is going to be Haven. And there is going to be a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a change. It's going to be #1, as I mentioned beforehand, possibly an ISO Yoru composition, which I'm hoping for, right? Panda, right? They swapped from the Yoru on Bind to that Cypher. They could do the same thing over on Haven. Please don't. I mean, they should feel confident after the 13-1. But we're also going to see a Neon from Stay over on Haven. And we saw some Neon Haven action yesterday, and it's really hard playstyle, again, to counter against. And we also saw Oompies have a little bit of issues with that Neon on Lotus as well. So it shows that maybe that could be the calling card for Sad Frost to make a comeback.
I mean, it definitely would be a good one, but I do also kind of want to offer a counterpoint to that Neon, is that Oompies, while it did struggle with it at times, they did also understand that when that Neon ultimate is up, that if they just respect it, they pull back a little bit, give a little bit of space, and then play for the retakes. They are experts at that. Again, especially Panday. We can't stress how good Panday is and has been this entire day on all of these retakes, on all of these clutch performances. And that's the kind of thing that even if all things go according to plan, you cannot plan for that level of ability to hit those shots, that level of clutch factor. But let's just say hypothetically that you could plan for it. We're going to throw to a quick break and give you the chance to do just that, but that's all you're going to get. It's the final exam for realsies. You only get one more crack at it. No more retakes after this for Sad Frost. Sad Frost versus Oomphies. Potential last map coming up right after this. Welcome back, everybody. I want to correct an egregious error that I made at the top of the show really quick when I said that we were the professors, but it turns out that Oomphies were actually the teachers all along. At this point in time, I think everybody else in this tournament owes them some student loans because they've all been getting schooled, and Oomphies have come to collect, and potentially right here, right now, Sad Frost are going to have to pay their debt as we go to our next map, potentially the last map, Oomphies versus Sad Frost in our grand finals as we take it to Haven.
And yes, we started out obviously there with that very dominant 13-1 on Bayern Sad Frost map pick, and the fear here now is that Oomphies and Haven, right? This is their domain, this is their map pick. I mean, it was even banned out by, right, the previous opponent, Tenax GC, because they did not want them on that site, or I should say that map. And I still hold out hope that we'll get to see the Ascent, get to see that Vice for carry, but I don't know, with each passing round I'm like, that possibility may just slip away. But otherwise, Haven, hey, I set it up, we could see your ISO Yaru, and with the performance map 1, I don't think they'll go with the safe composition pick.
I mean, we might even not have to wait till Ascent. I mean, Terra did say that, we'll ask. We'll say maybe Carry will bust it out. Who knows? Like, it's worth a shot. And I think when you're riding this much of a high, like I said, like, aside from when they were half asleep, no one has made this team sweat even a little bit this entire tournament. So I say just let it rip, Give the casters what they want. Let us succumb to our vices and see the vice.
And I'm sorry, but you should not be using your phone during the test, Terror. I'm looking at you and being on Twitter right now. Put that away and focus up, because we are getting ready to jump into Haven here very, very soon. Like, I know sometimes they use your phone on the break, but that's only for emergency circumstances. And I think if anybody's having an emergency, it's sad esports, right? They may need to call their coach, may need to rethink some of those strategies, because 13-1 is rough. And I mean, they still took a timeout, much like Snax did when it was, 0-5, kind of compared to the 0-4 from before. But clearly the changes weren't profound enough. So Haven here, I'm looking for them to win a pistol, right? They haven't won a pistol yet. That's kind of what kicked things off to disaster, because that ball got rolling. They lost their buy round, and from there it just spiraled out of control.
And like, it's never really felt like they've had an opportunity to actually like get their feet under them, start walking, start running, eventually start sprinting towards something resembling a competitive map. Because they can't even get going. They can't win those pistol rounds. In every single time they have anything resembling an economy, it's one that is easily matched, if not outclassed, by the 1%, the billionaires of this society in Oomphies. And I mean, you're saying putting your phones away. I think I'll allow Sad Frost to pull them out. Like, you can have your phones. You can try and like, chat GPT the answers to this one. All right, I'll give you every possible leg up you can. If you can chat GPT away to beat Oomphies in this map and take us to Ascent, I would love to see it. And honestly, I won't even put it through Turn It In. All right, I won't even grade it. Like, I'll grade it as if it was all your own words. Just, I need to see it happen.
But they don't even get the Yoru ISO. I'm calling it out. Panda not on the Yoru means they might go back to a more traditional composition. And that's making me, like, sad, because then we don't get anything out of Oomphies, the normally chaotic squad. They want to close this out. They're taking it seriously. They want this 2-0 for sure. And aside from that, I mean, Carrie, you're not locking in a harbor. Not on it. I was about to say. Like, Clove, maybe. But on Haven, a harbor? Ooh. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be fairly similar across the board for both these teams. The only difference, again, being that Duelist, Supercat versus Stay, and also that, Terror, what are you doing? They're not. There's no way. But then also that Clove, and I think Carrie, again, is just showing how dynamic they are, right? They go from, a Deadlock to an Astra, now into a Clove, and that's such different playstyles for each and every player.
Well, Panda, again, going to be on that Cypher. I mean, an expert at this agent, always a threat. And I think on Haven, it's going to play very similarly to Bind in a lot of ways, where I think you just do have Panda locked down on one of these sites and almost single-handedly, keeping it entirely under their control. No one gets in, no one gets out. The Panama Canal, everything's got to flow through me. You're probably still going to get a lot of that aggression that comes out from Supercat playing very far up and punishing anybody who walks up a little bit too far without checking their corners, without preparing themselves to take a duel. Because, I mean, Supercat's one hell of a duelist, can definitely win those 1v1s or even take some down with them in some 1v3s. If need be. I mean, we've even seen pretty much every member of Oomphies come close to getting an ace at one point in time, if not already outright lock one down.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, Haven, again, it's one of those maps that's been in the pool for a very, very long time. Like, both teams should know how to navigate it. And again, I'm going to be looking towards maybe some coordination again, particularly how the breach for the side of Sad is going to set up their Neon, set up Stay, who I'd say is, in my mind, one of the top Neon players in the scene. But still, you require that additional support on this agent, especially when you're going to be going up against mechanically sound players, and you need that additional advantage taking on these engagements against a squad like Oomphy. So we're getting to jump into the action, and like I said, I'm not saying if they lose this pistol, all is lost for Sad Frost, but it would definitely be a good way to kick things off.
If they lose this pistol, it's not that all is lost, but if they lose this pistol, all is yet to be found, I think, is a good way of rephrasing it. And another interesting thing I want to call out, by the way, is exactly like I said. They had Panday over at C-Site, locking that down single-handedly. Now going to start to make this late rotation, but bodies have already started to hit the floor, courtesy of Avery, who, by the way, has their name actually on the screen at this point in time, no longer just the agent select. So that's a a good use for us as the casters, but they're making it pretty quick for us as well.
Yeah, the fact that it's almost flawless as well, only losing one player after I set up the importance of that pistol is rough. And Super Cat, right? We haven't seen too many Jets other than Ascent, right? And this is another map that's really, really heavy on, you know, maybe an Operator, on an Outlaw. And I'm hoping that we get to see Super Cat and that Operator actually online, because we haven't really seen much opping period today, right? We didn't even get to see it on Lotus, which I feel like is a map where it is definitely a defensive strategy in our Tanax game. But we'll see what happens here, and if they get the proper scaling here over towards short to get the most of this Outlaw. But it's actually Terror with the Ghost holding down along the fault line late, because that's enough chip damage that Super Cat should be able to one-shot all of these players now.
And there's that one shot they were looking for right there onto Kalsushi and Sad Frost. I mean, you've already lost two. One person nearly got chunked down entirely from that fault line and some of the follow-up damage. So you really only have 2.5 players, and there goes 2 of them, and you're down to just Astralis with half HP, trying to make just about anything happen. But I mean, you got Panday sneaking up through the back door. Astralis waiting for it to happen. Needs to have their head on a swivel right now. Can't find the shots. It's a duel to the death, and Panday gonna go for the knife.
Not
the
again!
disrespect coming out from Panday, and that's a quick 2-0 there for Oomfies. And I mean, again, like, the train for Sad Frost hasn't even left the station.
Bro, but Astralis is the one that got knifed on bind too. Like, they're just getting bullied at this point, right? Like, the rest of the team, even if Panday falls, they would have been able to close out the round. But the fact that they survive and get the knife here means that, again, this bonus is something to be feared. Not just because Terror has a Vandal, but because there's this Outlaw, because you have a lot of light shields. I mean, it's gonna be... Whew, I think Oomphy is just looking to, like I said, get that early dismissal, you called it.
Yeah, they definitely don't have to stick around any longer if they don't have to. I mean, at this point, I would honestly dismiss them and just let them have the passing grade. Stay gonna go in super aggressively with this Neon, takes down Carry, and I mean, that's a great job to be able to claim this real estate over here on B site. Noomfies are struggling to try and reclaim it. That might be enough to get the spike down if they're able to make this stick. Stay just trying to hold the angles to prevent anyone from coming in and stopping them. And Oomfies are respecting this. They're going to back up a little bit and just try and play to maybe get a pick, but they're giving up B-side for free, but the spike is actually not going down that way. It's actually heading right out the way they came in and rotating seemingly back over towards A, while Stay's been left behind just to try and stop any would-be stragglers, but runs right into Super Cat. That's going to get traded out, though.
I'm surprised the players on A haven't rotated either just yet. Like, now they are, but you just got a frag where you stare down 4 players of the team. Like, I would be headed towards the C site. But now, instead, they might have made the correct call again. Hesitation, and they're going back A? Like, they're thinking what I was thinking about. Oh, they know we're going to head C. We shouldn't go at C. But at this point, it's just fake on fake, and they're trying to develop a flank, a surefire way to win this round. And I'm just worried that if, you know, we see 3 down fall, that they've overcooked this.
It's kind of like I said, you know, they left Stay behind initially, and they saw Stay trying to make that rotation, identify if that kill comes out, so they know it's not going to be B site, so they predict it's going to be B. Sad Frost, one step ahead, go back over towards A site, and Oomfies realize, okay, we came all this way, and there's nobody here, so it has to be A site, and Sad Frost have now finally come out ahead. It's not overcooked, it is cooked to near perfection, and Terror, the last remaining course on the menu, trying to peek this angle, but Kalsushi should be favored here. Yep, there we go. Able to find the shots, and Terror is done, and Sad Frost finally get their feet under them.
We're back to normalcy as well, right? When you get better weapons in your hands, you should win the round. And Sad Frost is able to achieve just that. And I think it is now that they're going to be expecting maybe some of these aggressive plays like flanks, and I think Sad Frost is going to be able to start racking up rounds here, is my hope. I mean, the economy isn't the best for Oomfies because they were so confident that they bought extra weapons to supplement their their bonus in that 3rd round. So the fact that they lost it now is harming them a little bit, right? You get the Bulldog Light Shield, you get the 2 Deagles, and this again gives Sad Frost that opportunity to equate things 2-2.
Well, see if they're able to actually make that 2-2 come to fruition, because, I mean, getting on site without losing someone like Stay, just like you do right there from Super Cat, again, a very aggressive duel taken and won by Super Cat, and another one for their money as well. Takes down Twitch down, or takes down 3 down, and, like, yeah, like I was saying, like, Sad Frost, like, you have to try and get into the site successfully, and it took all of these fakes and rotations previously to get it done last round, but if you're not able to do that when we're back to what you call normalcy, you're really struggling right now.
Yeah. Again, we need to see some solo fights 1 and solo fights right now. I would say, are going in favor of Supercat. So what do? You convert it into something that isn't a solo fight. The Breach joins the party. Austral is a nice fault line to keep their teammate alive. But in the meantime, now they have to refight in, and the repositions are good. The sandwich play is good. Supercat, even if they fall, they have Panda right at their side with all of this Cypher utility. They're really just trying to bait them into thinking it's not here. And at this point, you're joke not 3 times!
Astralis again!
No!
Look, okay, like, Astralis, did you, like, send a mean tweet or something? Or did you, like, subtweet somebody from Oompies? Because they got your, your picture up on a wall that they are throwing darts at time and time again, and more accurately, throwing knives at, because that's the 3rd time Astralis has been caught out with some disrespectful knife plays.
Yeah, that's just been rough for that player in particular. And I mean, I don't blame them in that situation, right? They're trying to support their team and taking those fights against Supercat and taking their fights against claiming the C site. The last thing they have to worry about is behind them. And unfortunately, at that point, they have to worry. I mean, how many players have gotten knives now?
By the way, that knife play denies the ace from Supercat, by the way. If, like, that was before
I'd say it's worth it. I'd be okay with that.
Another near ace. But a knife play just for a little bit more disrespect, I think, is just more salt in the wound than giving that up.
Bro, they're looking for bingo at this point. Because what? Carrie has gotten a knife kill. Or no, Carrie's gotten 2 of them, I think, actually. I was going to say Carrie, Avery, but Avery hasn't gotten one. It's been Carrie and Panda that have gotten the knife kills. So I want to see, like, all of them get one. Sorry, Astralis. But I think this timeout is good, not just for the mental reset, because you've been knifed in, what is it, half the rounds. But I think... it's, again, what we talked about, right? That economy should not have propelled Oompies into a round. It should have been tied 2-2. And now this is your last opportunity before Oompies, very similarly, start to run away with things. Because you lose this round for Sad Frost, it's going to be 4-1, likely 5-1. And who knows what happens after that when you have weapons back in hand. Because then ultimates are going to be on the table for who knows what side.
Well, I would definitely expect ultimates to be coming online for Oompies here if they aren't already about to be let rip. Stay. Ooh, nearly gets caught by the trap wire there. Panda does now know that the threat is knocking right on their domain. What can they do about it? There's some smokes, there's some flashes, there's just about everything you could possibly ask for, especially a little bit of assistance from Carrie, but Panda, not to be outdone, takes down 2, and this entrance into Panda's domain has not borne any fruit whatsoever. The shots from 3 down are going to find Supercat, but I think that's the best possible outcome you could hope for Sad Frost on this round.
Just like that. 3 down is going to be looking for an opening, looking to piece these players apart. Because they have to collect the spike, they have to get the plant. So at this point, just act like you're playing a deathmatch, right? Just take these fights one at a time, hope that you can win them or get a nice spray transfer, considering 2 are swinging out pretty deep. And there it is. That would have been it. Avery even swung into the crossfire, but unfortunately the trades are sound. And also I just realized Avery has their name back. Let's go.
Yeah, we can actually, I no longer have to have that, like, moment of hesitation where I'm like, oh, it's the clove on their team that has, like, no, it's Avery.
And I mean, with that as well, I mean, I said it, Sad Frost losing that round means that it's gonna get a little bit more chaotic. And I will say, silver lining here, Stay is 1 off from the overdrive, right? And what did we see was kind of that calling card for the in back for Tenax GC on Lotus. It was when their Neon got that overdrive online. And I cannot wait to see some more fancy footwork from this Neon. But they're just diving in, overwhelming carry, full stun with a stinger, and they don't even need the overdrive.
Well, they do have it online now should they decide to pop it, but first order of business is going to be getting rid of Panda, and I think everybody knows exactly where they're going to be lurking. Astralis peeks out a little bit too far, does get punished for it, but it's Stay again. But Supercat left unchecked on this flank angle where they love to live has even the odds now, and sure, even though you've dislodged Panda and gotten yourself some home over here on C-Site, it's still Oompi's house.
Yeah, they're just letting you stay over for a sleepover, you know, typical, you know, middle school special. They're like, no, it's like when your parents force you to invite the entire class to your birthday party and you don't want them there, but you have to. But regardless, like I said beforehand, we need to see one of these rifle rounds for Sad Frost go their way, or it is going to be a similar, like I said, night and day cycle of buy, save, buy, save. That is just going to lead us to a early 2-0 here favoring Oompies. So again, I think the timeouts are being taken at a good time. It's just, again, the changes, adaptations, Oompies is just brute forcing them into ineffectiveness.
Oh, I mean, speaking of brute forcing, I mean, Sad Frost may be trying to brute force their way into A right now, and they have some utilities to do it, but again, still not fully committed. Meanwhile, though, it has drawn enough attention over towards A site, so I guess the play was just to try and aggro just a little bit as a bait and then try and assess the situation there. I'm not quite sure if they're taking it to B site or C, but C is completely unguarded right now.
And I mean, they've been able to get on a C fairly cleanly, right? It's just in those post-plants numbers are dwindling, and there's an immediate flood, right, from the remaining members of Oomfies. And because of that, that's why Stage tries to get proactive, right? They try to prevent a flood, but there's 2 players there, right? And that, as a result, means that they are going to easily get countered. And that's now all the information that they need to repivot to A. And look at this. If Panda is going to get eliminated on the flank, they're going to double down. Send 2 players.
Oh, Kalsushi had the angle, but Terror had the shots and is not quite done yet. Make it 3 in a row there for Terror. Avery's going to fall, but Terror looking for the 4th. Can't find it. 3 down. Trying to return some fire here and maybe keep Sad Frost alive. But once again, how many times have we told this story? This one sad, lonely player, and there's the knife. Everyone had the knives out and was just running straight for 3 down. It wasn't Astralis this time. Someone else had to take one for the team, and I'm sorry, buddy. It was you this time.
All right, so we need Avery to get a knife kill, and we need Terror to get a knife kill? I think those are the 2 that have not.
I think so. And they don't, I guess they, at this point, they don't all have to be on Astralis. So you're
No,
out of
they
the woods
don't.
at least.
They're going to get bingo, right? They need all 5 players. But what is, again, the cause for concern here is that Sad Frost, again, have lost around his back to a save. But again, like I said, once the ultimates get on board, that's when it's going to be anybody's game. Sad Frost now have an opportunity, right? The overdrive, the Rolling Thunder. And if they get onto the site with just the overdrive, now the Rolling Thunder and that Hunter's Fury are going to be great post-plant strategies.
And Stay can just hold this angle. I mean, it's going to be the most likely angle of approach. You're going to go in with that overdrive, take down Panday and Avery. You're going to trade your life for it, but that 2-for-1 special, I think you take it. You do have presence on C site, and Panday, with no longer on the field, means that now you can claim it as your own house, but you do need to be on the lookout for Terror. And here we go. Last one left. Supercat on this wide flank. Supercat, you've killed 4 before, but you had a little bit of help. This time, it's just you.
And the issue here is that, yes, you've overdrafted that trap wire from Panday, but they all flip the map anyways. They're all on CT. At this point, since they have no information about where you are, they're going to expect you on that flank. And it's plenty for backside anyway, so does it matter that you were even flanking? Because they're just going to hear the tap and then all flood in together. Likely 2 from Garage, 2 from CT. Or just going to swing into an Odin, and that's one way to do it as well. Will Cokes be aware? Their back is turned. They're playing for the exit, and they almost get 2 here. Don't pre-swing. Let's let them down his bomb. But okay. There's a 50.
With a timer there going off, like, you were kind of in a no-win situation. You either take that battle and take as many people down as you can, or you double back and try and go for the defuse. But at that point, you're making your final stand. You're going to have to fight it regardless. So, like, once Sad Cat gets onto the point and identifies that it is planted towards the back of the site, and you still have 4 members all lurking and ready that you have to try and snake out one by one carefully, it's just an unwinnable fight with the time allotted.
Well, with that, though, they aren't able to damage the economy from that Thrifty too much because they picked up all of those shiny new weapons from Oomfies. And they didn't even use, I would say, the biggest ultimates like that Rolling Thunder. I think the Rolling Thunder we heard actually came from Oomfies, came from Avery. And so that's now a tool that was wasted as well on a Thrifty, which is huge. But unfortunately, the getting ahead of the Rolling Thunder means that Avery's good for one trade here, sacrificing themselves to capitalize off of Panday's utility. And look at this!
Clearing out carry is huge, but yeah, the ultimate is going to come out, so that Clove, once again, alive. 3 down has to try and deal with this one. The shots are
what
there,
a flash.
But it's so narrow, so nearly averts disaster there, and now it is just Terror coming in 3v1. The spike is down, and now, yep, they know where they are. They all know where this Sova is, and there's the fault line straight down. And here we go. There's the cavalry. 3 down.
Straight down, 3 down.
Gonna live up to their name. Yep, 3 down with 3 down.
There we go. And that's 3 down on the scoreboard as well for Sad Frost, right? Yeah.
Today's lesson, poetry.
And although Oomfies has that security of a 6-3, I think that Sad Frost has an opportunity now to continue closing this gap, right? This is really the last buy for Oomfies until they're forced into an eco round. So as long as they win this round, they're guaranteed at least a 7-5 half. So I am hopeful here. But again, they used so many of the ultimates and they were doing a good job spacing them out. But now that's run dry, other than maybe this Hunter's Fury and this Neural Theft. So we'll get to see what the I guess course of action is, and it's to run it into the B site, right? They understand that the respect has been shown by Oomfies, so they can just get a plant hopefully for free.
They're gonna get they're gonna get Panday for free, almost essentially, and a plant onto B site for free. Avery gonna go ahead and try and bait the defuse. Wonder if they're gonna stick it. They do
Not
get it halfway.
like that. Okay.
Yeah. There is no shot, but they do get it halfway, so that is definitely worth noting. But now you have to get another member of Oomphies on there safely enough to try and finish off the job. And so far, that's gonna be easier said than done. But Super Cat at close range with the barrel stuff operator, no scope, takes down Kalsushi, and elsewhere more blood being spilled. Tries to go for another shot, isn't going to happen, and just barely by the skin of their teeth, Sad Frost keep this one alive.
And that was close for comfort, right? Carry with a 3K. They understood, right, that the win con for Sad Frost was getting that spike on site early and playing these post-plant ultimates like that like that Hunter's Fury from the Sova in particular. But it was just so difficult because Super Cat finally bought the operator and wanted to see online, but it wasn't a round where they went to one of the closest angle sites like that B site. And the operator maybe could have thrived taking some of those fights on grass, but I think Carey made the right decision to smoke it off because, as we mentioned, Spike was had and they wanted someone to stick it. But still, as for mentioned, now economy for Oomphy is broken. As long as they don't throw a thrifty out of left field, like I said, Sad Frost should get onto a comfortable 5th, making Haven a lot closer than what we saw over on the first map.
The knive's just gonna clang right down to the floor alongside Super Cat's body there. Panda gonna trade it out for Stay, which is a pretty high value pick off there, taking down that Neon. You don't have to worry about the speed coming up from Sad Frost, but they do still swiftly plant that spike. Almost said spike that plant. And now it's like Oomphies have been forced back into the CT side spawn. A couple of them are going to be coming in through garage, but I mean, look at where Sad Frost are all posted up. Every possible angle. Coke's going to fall, though, as Carey comes in through the garage with some support. And, I mean, Oomphies have somehow managed to flip this entirely. Sad Frost, they left everything. They left all their valuables just out on the table for Oomphies to walk right in and make out like bandits in the night with.
Hey, we don't want school delinquents here during the final exam, but still, Oomphy is getting that. Now prevents Sad Frost from tying things up 6-6 at the half. It guarantees them a lead here. And Sad Frost, I said it, that should have been your guaranteed at least 5th round, but losing that thrifty again, not good. But the 4 rounds they were able to tie together, sorry, I should say 3 rounds, does mean they have at least another bye, maybe a half bye when they get into the last round to force up. Actually, this is the last round. I'm smart. I can math. So they're pretty good. I feel like to close this out still at a 7-5.
I think if you're Sad Frost, you would have been ecstatic with the way this map has gone so far, if you could have gone a 6-6 at the half. But
for sure.
Like you said, a 7-5 is the best you can possibly hope for. And I think it's important that they make it happen now so they have the momentum. But Panday gonna stop that momentum dead in its tracks. Another shot there onto Stay. And yeah, you can tell Sad Frost, without that Neon playing that aggressively, making that space, they don't want to try and play into Panday's hand. But meanwhile, it's a dead man's hand for Panday as Kalsushi takes the shot there, so maybe C-Site is worth going for.
Yeah, but Carey here. So you are right. They're trying to corral these players in the C-Site because that's where the Sova breach are set up. But the side of Sad Frost has other plans, right? 3 down, ripping that neural theft allows them to know exactly what fights they need to isolate and in what order. Supercat alone, eager to take this duel, but now they're trying to get pinched with Carey here as well. And it is going to be one half of that puzzle cut off. And Carey, it's the last round, might as well. Oh, but they are going to run that down. No hope, but it has about enough time for the distraction of terror into window. And at the end of the day, though, it might not matter. 1v2 for Avery, Rolling Thunder online. And the A site clear.
Carey can run all you want, but you're just going to die tired, apparently. Avery, though, still alive. The plant coming out from Astralis over on A site, and Avery has to try and inch ever forward. They know exactly where Avery should be coming from. And Avery with a 360? What? No, like an accidental 360 onto Astralis and the follow-up shot onto Kalsushi. That should not happen. That, like, no.
I'm sorry, but that was like an immense throw, either that or a lapse in communication, right? Because the time there wasn't good for the trade. It was after the breach had been dealt with. And in my mind, they shouldn't even have taken the duel, right? They should have pushed CT together, play offsite, play Heaven, play that Rolling Thunder. I mean, that's even where you planted for. So now that 8-4 locked in for Oomphies here, and is this a good time to mention that, what did I say about 3-site maps, CB? Pop quiz?
They are attacker favored.
Yeah, so there we go. Oomphies now on that attack half, making this a lot dicier for Sad Frost, and I'm going to be looking at them, right? They are currently 0 for 3 on pistols. Can they make it 1 for 4?
And something else that I want to talk about in that previous round is one of those intangible things that you can't really plan for, and that's momentum. I thought it was absolutely imperative that Sad Frost win that round so they could carry that momentum over into the next half, and they threw it in the most momentum-destroying way I could possibly imagine. So now, like, what do they do to try and get their feet out from under them? Well, Stay's feet are going to be straight up, looking back up at the lights. 2-for-2 trade. It's going to help out Sad Frost just a little bit to feel a little bit more comfortable and confident despite losing Stay so quickly.
And this is where we look at Oomfies and just how rehearsed and how experienced they are, right? Some teams wouldn't expect that Neon Pop play out of B, but that is the Neon calling card on a pistol round, right? Is you aggress alongside your breach, and they deal with that beautifully before rebounding and reclaiming a site. Now, fortunately, they didn't go down with that fight, right? That 2-for-2 special means that it is still going to be a 3v3 on this retake, but... And again, it kind of just mirrored across at least the agent roles for this.
There we go. Good angle there from Carry. Stops Kalsushi from going in on the retake there. And this is... Okay, Coke's able to take one down, but I think this might be a win for here for Oomfies unless Cokes can get these shots on target here. Knows the smoke is there, so knows that there should be someone there. Terror. Oh, Terror.
Bingo!
Terror needs to get the knife here. Yeah, bingo.
No!
Oh, not able to get it, actually. All right.
Panda, your turn!
Come on, Panda. Come on,
They're
Panda.
gonna go for the clutch. Oh, did they get it? Yeah!
They got it! Okay. Yeah, okay. If ever there was a time to drop a couple bags, I mean, again, we don't teach that in health class, but whatever. I'll allow it this time. I'll turn a blind eye because you definitely earned that. Oompies got a little too big for their britches. They're trying to get bingo, and it's going to be Sad Frost winning a pistol round finally.
Yeah, 2 players going for the knife there and both falling short again. I mean, I think if they had a Ghost or a Classic, it's definitely feasible to get away with that. But the Deagle, just the immense damage it does with the body shots, make it really difficult in that kind of scenario. But, I mean, now we get to see Sad Frost. There's their one pistol that I asked for. There's their opportunity to bounce back. But again, Oomfies has been throwing some thrifties into the wind. And we'll see what they can do here with Deagles in their hands.
It is all important for Sad Frost to make that hubris a turning point in this entire series, much less just in this map, if they're able to. Oomfies trying to go ahead and make this rotation here through Garage. Stay, I mean, is not going to be peeking this one out this time, but does know that a lot of threats lurk behind that smoke. Going to get smoked out from the Clove as well. Supercat, though, going to play really aggressive. Again, how many times have I said it, and how many times have I said that they hit those shots? They win those duels. They take down Stay. Kalsushi, though, at close range with the Judge, only able to take down one. And you really needed a lot more for that kind of play. Panday, oh my god.
And now, are they going to go for the knife again?
I mean, you have to. 3 down.
They are! Look at Carrie!
Yeah, Carrie wants it. 3 down. Listen, your life is on the clock, and I think it might be knife's o'clock right now.
Oh, nope. Guardian, they said they threw too much already. They need that 30 at least to keep themselves comfortably in the lead.
How cowardly to use a gun. Bringing a gun to a knife fight. How dare you?
How dare you? And a Guardian at that you picked up from the opposing team after murdering them in cold blood.
That's grave robbing too. That's like double dishonorable.
But now, again, Sad Frost in an unoptimal position. Oomfies setting themselves up for a potential double digits here. I mean, the silver lining this time is I think they learned their lesson and didn't buy up additional weapons in this 3rd round to supplement the buy. But then again, it's because they got a lot of, treats from Sad Frost. But speaking of treats, clearly they're trying to replicate, I would say, that early round success. Again, the Neon scaling down mid. We'll see what they can do with the trap wire and if they can get to this flank fast enough.
A fault line comes through, so Sad Frost do seem privy to it. Stay over here on the flank. Just gonna be waiting to try and find the angle here, but gets caught out. Terror has seen this movie before several times, in fact. Supercat gonna get traded out there, but I mean, it's a lot of space at the back door of Oomfies that is now open. They don't have to be checking their backs. They can focus on what is in front of them, and what is currently in front of them is 3 down on the floor. Kalsushi gonna join, and there we go. Just down to this one last lonely Astralis. Not getting knifed this time, but may as well be. Carrie was looking for it.
And I mean, it's just astounding there. Like you said, both of these teams reading each other very, very well. Not every day do you see both Sovas getting a shock dart kill in the same round. And that maybe is accredited to, some of the sniper rifles or maybe just the light shields. But regardless, it happens. Oomfies, again, with unoptimal weapons, get that round under their belt. They get the double digits, and they said, you know what? We're just going to keep carrying these weapons forward, right? Notably the Spectre for carry. They said, you know what? I'm going to run and gun. I'm going to show even more disrespect, which I don't know what's more disrespectful, knifing or getting run and gunned with a Spectre. Because it can look really goofy either way.
They're both pretty disrespectful, but it's also, you know, when you have this much breathing room and you have this much confidence, I mean, sure, you can even afford to throw that down blue, and then you've still got all of that extra cash built up for when you do actually need to buy in the later rounds. So you have, like, the ultimate golden parachute, you know, every safety net, every insurance policy you could possibly want for the side of Oomfies, and it's still an attacker-favorite map. So, I mean, you only need to get these last 3 rounds, and it's looking easy for them right now. They're actually showing a little teensy bit of respect, at least, not committing fully to C. Gonna go ahead and bait over towards A. And Sad Frost, a little slow on the retake there. Super Cat gets caught up there. Stay nearly wins that duel there. Runs into a fault line, though. Slows down. Hunter's Fury coming out from Terror to try and slow things down even further. And there we go. Stay finally taken down by Carry. And it's like, once again, looking like Oomfi's fight to win. Carry takes the shots there. Kalsushi able to win that duel, but gives their life for it. Now is just 3 down up in the heavens, taken down by Terror. And Oomfies are, like, respect, disrespect, it doesn't matter. They command respect.
Yeah, for sure, right? If we're electing a class president, it would be the side of Oomfies. And at that point, you know, we're getting a campaign meeting, right? We got to rethink our strategy, rethink how we can get these students, get this score on our side for Sad Frost. 11-5 here again, like very similar to how they approached their timeouts previously. This is the last really opportunity you get to chat, I feel like, if things don't go your way. So they're using every opportunity they can to see what they can remedy, what they can change. But I mean, whew, Oomfies again looking really, really clean.
Is there even anything that you can remedy, that you can change? Like I'm looking at Sad Frost, and like they're not playing poorly. They're just getting outclassed at like seemingly every possible hurdle. Like Stay is getting some big fight wins here and there, but you know, if if Super Cat wins the duel there, Sad Cat, I mixed up Sad Frost and Super Cat. If Super Cat wins the duel there, or is able to get on the flank unchecked, or if Terror is able to get nestled into an angle where they're able to hit all of their shots unchecked, it just doesn't seem like there's anything that Sad Frost can do aside from, you know, win those fights.
You know, I think what we're seeing is they're not committing to either strategy. They're trying to get the best of both worlds, right? Like, I either want to see, like, the entire team commit to an aggressive play alongside Stay, because Stay will get a frag, maybe get dealt with accordingly. Or I want to see all of them play, you know, a lot further back, play for the 5-person retake. Because the issue is, when Stay goes aggressive, like you said, they might get a frag, they might not. And as a result, then they've lost their re-entry duelist, which is huge, especially on an A site. Like we said, it's one of the hardest sites to retake. And you kind of need that secondary piece to follow up on breach utility, that speed that Stay brings to the table. And I highlighted Stay, and they're also just having a rough map. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I was like thinking the same thing too, because I was saying like it feels a lot like Sad Frost are living and dying by Stay's hand, whether or not they're able to win those duels. But 5-16, I mean, live or die, that's a lot of dying right there.
Here.
All right. And that quick tech pause has come to a close. Like I said, this is going to be a very important round. And look at this. What did I say during that timeout? I said you either have to commit fully to the aggression or you have to play passive. And I think Oomfies read into, okay, they're going to commit to the aggression. And I mean, because of that Otis spray, they completely circumvent the Hunter Fury scale up. But it might not matter. Deagle's paranoia, all the guns are blazing, and it's still not going to matter.
That's 2 for 1 there from Terror. Just line them on up and knock them down. I mean, a great early shot there from Kalsushi, but one good shot is as good for another one. Stay. It's time to hit some more of those shots. I mean, gonna get sussed out there. Yeah, it's do or die. You gotta go in aggressive. And yep, gonna get caught out. There's 3 for Terror. And at this point, you might as well give the ace.
Ooh, I mean, they've gotten some gun upgrades, though, for the side of Sad Frost. And
it's temporary. Very temporary gun upgrades.
I mean, you don't know that. It's still a 2v3. And we'd see the baits coming out, trying to convince them that they are not watching this flank. This might be Panda's time for a knife kill, is what I'm thinking of here. Yes, I think that's what's gonna happen. Nope, they're gonna clear the corner. Proactivity. Australis makes it a 2v2. And this is where I think the ego could get ahead of Oomfies, right? We almost saw the solo swing. They had to rein themselves back and be like, all right, I have to play with you, Super Cat. And I think Australis has heard the jet. And this round is feasible.
Australis taking out all the biggest stops, but the ace, it comes out for Terror. Like I said, I mean, it wasn't just given to them. They did take it themselves, but yeah, at this point, I think it's just over. Like, I'm looking over at the economy, and Sure, you can buy Vandals, but 3 down can't even get heavy armor. Astralis, I mean, a little slow on the buy there as well. Sure, you can get a Vandal and heavy armor full buy, but it backs up against the wall. All right, Panda's got an op. What are you gonna do? What options do you even have left?
I mean, yeah, they pull out the Odin last round, they pull out the Operator now. They are getting the most expensive weapons they can just to polish off this map in a theatrical fashion, I should say. And they haven't even really gone for a direct C yet, but this is the round to do so to try and close things out. A really early Rolling Thunder, it's only going to catch off one player, but that one player had the spike. And as a result, now they have to fight back in, and this might just be a second win for Sad Frost. Terror, yes, you just got an ace, but can you get the 1v3 clutch to close out the grand finals? Fast lane to Fragment, and the double swing is good from Sad Frost.
Well, they're still clinging to life, our Sad Frost, and that is going to help out the economy. And I think Stay was able to get the Operator too. No, it was a little bit too slow, actually. Couldn't grab it.
Yeah, that would have been huge for the defense, but unfortunately they just have to work with, again, what their funding is. And fortunately this round, it has been given a new lifeline. They've gotten a new student loan, but we'll see if they can now, you know, graduate and pay it off effectively, because Oomphy, as we've seen, how many 50s have we had at this point? I think 2 or 3 from them on this map, and they have the ultimates to work with here. It's a little dicey, and we've seen how clean their execs are.
Well, I am gonna put a little bit of the weight on Stay there, who is gonna have that ultimate coming out from the Neon. Kalsushi gets caught out there with the knives. It does get traded out from Stay. Hasn't had to invest that ultimate yet, but I think at some point in time may have to let it rip. Oomphies, though, I mean, they understand now that they do have to give at least a little bit of respect if they're gonna close this out and not let it get away from them. Having lost that trade early on and about to lose Panda as well. Yeah, Panda gonna fall.
Yeah, but they got the 140 off on Stay. So this is easily going to be equated, I would say, to a 3v3. Now here, 3 down, gets the information, might try and bait Stay for a trade. Or Stay's going to try and search for this breach, right? That's the Rolling Thunder, which can be huge here. And now it has stunned you out, has isolated you, but you have the support of your teams, and you don't have to take these fights. You can wait for that support to come through, and it is 3 players stacked backside, but the reveals are good. Avery is surrounded, run down, and just like that again, like you said, you need to respect Sad Frost because they might be staging a comeback.
And, you know, Avery living so long with so low HP and, or sorry, not Avery, Stay. Avery was actually trying to chase down that kill and confirm it onto Stay, but had to go so deep to make it happen, and it took so long for it to ever actually come through to even force Stay out of that back corner in a position where they would have been vulnerable, that I mean, Avery just gets caught out by the entirety of Sad Frost flooding back in. Again, still alive, 12-7. This is actually a pretty respectable scoreline now. No longer does this feel as one-sided as it once did.
Yeah. And 5 rounds is entirely possible here. Oomphies, likely after that heavy investment, yeah, you only have Deagles. And I mean, yes, it would be a storybook way for Oomphies, again, to finish this out with a thrifty, but I think Sad Frost has learned, like I said beforehand, they went super aggressive, that didn't work. So what have they done? They have recoiled, they leave A instead for the retake because they understand that just Oomphies steamrolls onto that site, and that's when they had the numbers, so they can play an effective retake. So they're getting a lot cleaner. They're definitely, I think, having a lot more fruit from the labor of that previous time out with who. And let's see if it works again in their favor.
Well, Stay getting blasted into tomorrow and may not live to see tomorrow if the rest of Sad Frost can't make something happen. Kalsushi is going to fall, and all of the kills come through, and it is flawless. It is thrifty. It is a 100% A+ passing grade if ever there was one. Your victors, your valedictorians, your winners, Oomphies, and I mean, if you ask them, there was never any doubt.
Oh, for sure. They studied, they came, they aced the test, and I mean, we're gonna have to host our own graduation ceremony for each of the Oomphies members for sure. And they said it during that interview with Terror, and I'm so excited that we're gonna get to see Panda competing back with the squad, right, for Open Qualifier number 3, because like I said, I think this is the best they have been looking as of recently. Like, yes, they went far in the Neon Dream Invitational, but still, this was impressive, and I cannot wait to see what it is going to hold moving forward.
And they do, like, I mean, I think it's very poetic, right, that they finished out that last round flawless, because flawless is a great way that you could describe their entire tournament bracket run, all the way through groups, all the way through the brackets, not dropping a single map to everybody. This tournament really brought forward all of the best straight to Oomphy's door, and they all got sent packing right back down, flunked out, only to maybe potentially try again. Our 1 graduates, our 1 champion of this tournament. Oomfies, and who else? Who else? Who dares challenge Oomfies next?
Oh, it's gonna be, I think, some of those teams in the Game Changers Open qualifiers that did not compete. But again, like I said, this squad's looking clean, and I can't wait to see a team that, does meet them at the mechanical, at that power level, and see how they adjust. Because that's when I typically see, Oofys have issues, is when they need to dive deeper into that calling. But this time, they clearly were having fun, right? They took the easy classes their senior year, they were out partying, aka the knife kills, and I still think, like, their thrifty conversion rate was insane on Haven, and all of that set them up, like you said, to be the valedictorian, to be that graduate here, in Raidiant Academy 104.
And the only times that it looked like they struggled, especially there on Haven, is when they got a little bit too cocky. Maybe showed up to class hungover, ill-prepared, and Sad Frost, took a round or two here or there. But like that's it. When they are on their game, they are flawless as ever, and it shows. It shows. I don't know what else there even is to say. Like there wasn't really that much of a fight that came out from anyone else, save for Sad Frost towards that middle to end part of Haven, and it just wasn't enough.
Oh, for sure. And you said it yourself. You're like, what more can we say? And you know what? It is not a graduation ceremony, CB, right? Without us getting to have a graduation speech. And who better than who we saw before the grand finals happened than Terror to come back in and give us their thoughts once again. And this time, it is not their sisters Arad, it is the Otter. Terror, welcome. How are you feeling after grand finals?
Hello. I feel good.
There's a cat. It looked like an otter. I can't tell anymore. Did it look like an otter at first?
Cats and otters are pretty closely related in the animal kingdom.
It's just a water cat,
Yeah, one of those famous water cats.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, how are you feeling, Terror?
I feel good. That's my first win anywhere, honestly.
There you go. Yeah, winning out the entire tournament.
Well, okay. I mean, I asked you the same question before, but I mean, I guess I just do want to check in again. After this, was there a moment at all in this at this grand finals match where you felt like you had to sweat at all? Because from our point of view, it kind of felt like the only times that you guys ever lost control of this series was when you were going really aggressive and getting a little silly trying to go for some of those knife kills.
Yeah, we enjoyed ourselves a little too much at times, but all good. Close it out.
Speaking of closing it out, you were, I think, the only player that map to get an ace there, right? And it was after, I feel like it seemed like it was favoring the side of Sad Frost for a really long time, and that kind of was the major turning point as well for starting to close that Haven after that faux comeback from Sad Frost. So what were the thoughts there? How did you navigate kind of that 1v2 when both players were just ready to and primed to swing out of A long?
I got a completely random spam kill, double kill on Garage, and
Yeah.
And Carrie told me to leave towards A so they can get a knife kill. We kind of failed at that a
Of
bit,
course.
and then I get a random spam through Flash, completely undeserved, but we love Valorant. And for the A long fight, there was a little bit of a delay in the double swing from long from Sad, which just happens sometimes, especially after quite a long day of playing. Not that long as yesterday, but still. Yeah, that's all.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel confident throughout the
it,
whole round.
it sounds like the confidence has been great from you guys. The cohesion, the friendliness. You guys have been having a lot of fun, and you guys have actually shown to be very strong on what you came out here with today. But my question is, and you don't have to reveal the strats or leak them, but do you have any more like aces up your sleeve for some future tournaments? Some things you guys are cooking that you might bust out? For my co-caster's sake, I do kind of want to be like, where's the Vice comps,
Thank you. I was gonna ask that.
Yeah.
You'll see the wise eventually.
Yes. I mean, the sound was map 3 decider. I was like, they might give it to me there, and then 2-0. But with that, right, we framed this interview as kind of your graduation speech, right? As this is kind of the Raidiant Academy, and it's all kind of schoolyard kind of themed. Do you have any thank yous for your journey through the Raidiant Academy, and as you said, your first victory, so your graduation day?
Thank you to the team, of course. I love them all so much. Also, thank you to my previous teams. I've learned a lot from everyone. Absolutely everyone, especially Infinity X. Infinity X was a great team. I missed them so much. If Kaya, if you're listening, I love you. I miss you. Come back to Enable build.
I do remember Infinity X. They had a really insane run. I think that's the team that Car was on as well. Who's one of the first people I met in person from Game Changers back in Astro Class. So I feel that. And an amazing, amazing graduation speech. Just bringing, tears to our eyes listening to it.
One important part of graduation is that it always is, of course, you're graduating to the next step in life. So I guess it's only fitting that we close things out by asking, what is next for you? What is next for Oomfies? I know you kind of alluded to it in the previous interview, but remind everybody exactly who you are, where you're going, and what you are going to achieve from here on out.
For me personally, I want to play main event for GC and see how that goes, and afterwards consider competing outside of GC circuit, which I have before, but not with an actual roster. And yeah, I'll see what happens there.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Taryn. We don't want to keep you from your team and those celebrations, but I agree. That's what Radiant Academy stands for, is just the growth from one stage to the next. So I cannot wait to see you guys in Open Qualifier 3 and hopefully in Series 3 main event. Who knows? Maybe you'll make the run all the way to Game Changers champs. Anything is possible. But yeah, hope you have a good night. And that does mean that our class of 104 for Radiant Academy has now thrown their caps up. We have now been given the green light to go ahead and close things out, CB. But, I mean, you gotta make sure you buy, your yearbook. You gotta make sure you remember your school experience. So, you can head over to the Radiant store to check out what memorabilia they have to remember the Radiant experience. There's some nice t-shirts, some nice merch, and all of the money goes back to supporting marginalized gender initiatives like what you have seen here with Radiant Academy. So if you enjoyed the broadcast and want a way to directly support Radiant, that is a surefire way to do so and look cool while doing it, CB.
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately didn't get to show up in my Radiant merch because it's mostly all Calling All Heroes
Teacher
branded.
dress code, okay?
Yeah, teacher dress code. I have to look at least semi-professional, even though I'm looking, less like a teacher and more like, just your.
You're the art teacher right now. That's what you look like.
Yeah, I'm the art
The
teacher.
cool art
I was
teacher.
gonna say, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, the cool art teacher. I mean, this was definitely art, definitely something to behold from Oomfies and from everyone else today, even if today was a little bit more matter-of-fact in terms of the way the games panned out than yesterday. But I'm happy to have been here. I'm happy to have been able to join you. I sure learned a lot from this academy, and of course I had a great real teacher to this side. I'm mirrored.
This side.
here.
I'm gonna go the wrong way.
There you are. There you are, over that way.
Well, I hope you were a great student. I want to shout out CB here because they were willing to sit with me for like 2 hours and just take a crash course on Valorant, right? Before jumping into the action today. And like I said, they went through a wild ride from 9-3, 11-3 curses yesterday to knife kills and a half today. Like, this is not the standard Valorant to be their briefing and to be their expectations on the game, but they were a champ throughout all of it.
Someday I'll cast a normal game of regular Valorant
where it's actually close, right?
Yeah, where it's like kind of competitive and not like one-sided, but also not competitive in like a silly way. Like,
Well, then that just means you have to come back. But with that, CB, it has been a pleasure to cast with you, and it has been a pleasure to cover the players and their stories in Radiant Academy 104. And we cannot wait to see you next time. Have a good night.